Non-league to Champions League rebuilds are the best rebuilds on YouTube, and I've been lucky enough to do two of them, one in England, one in Scotland, taking at the time the worst team in England on the vanilla version of Football Manager, Bishop Stortford, to Champions League glory, and recently Fort William, a 6th tier side in Scotland, to also Champions League glory. If you want to find out how to do a non-league rebuild and how to build Champions League winning teams from simply nothing, watch this fantastic compilation of two of the best rebuilds we've ever done. Football Manager 2024 has now been out for over 3 months, and I think it's time to take on the most difficult rebuild on the game, taking the worst team in England to the top of football and winning the Champions League. Now, there is no cap on this rebuild. It could take me 10 years, it could take me 20 years, but welcome to Bishop Stortford, 17 points in 25 games. Now, this isn't just going to be a rebuild. I'm also going to be giving you guys a tip in every single season, whether that be free agent scouting, lower league scouting, Wonder Kid scouting. This is the video for you because every single season there will be something to help you out on Football Manager 2024. So grab some popcorn, it's going to be a long one. Welcome to rebuilding Bishop Stortford. So the first thing to look at Bishop Stortford is the current squad. Now, obviously being a semi-professional squad, there isn't a lot of money, there isn't a lot of room for rotation. It is pretty much the squad we've been given, which is going to be looking like something with no left back, a right back, centre mids, wingers, and a striker. So first of all, it's time to find the perfect tactic. And that tactic is going to be the perfect 4-2-3-1 that I built myself and is absolutely fantastic. Now you can see from the team, there is wingers, there is a half decent striker. We've managed to find someone that can play left back and 2 decent central defensive midfielders. But the thing about this tactic and the thing about lower league instantly is you need to make a tactic which is quite easy for players to understand. You can see there's actually not too many sort of instructions for the players. Play it wide with a slightly higher tempo and run with the ball. Pass in behind as well. So I think this tactic is going to work very well in the lower leagues. We've got take short kicks on, distribute to the centre backs and build up from the back, counter and counter press, and a high press system. No high line because, good lord, I know the centre backs are not going to be quick. Kieran Clements with 9 pace and Billy Cracknell with 9 pace as well. One thing I'm going to eat a little tip to kick things off. A lot of people when they go into lower league management think they can just plug in a tactic which will work in the Premier League. You've got to remember these players do not have the pace, the decision making, the composure, the concentration of them sorts of players. So you start adding a ridiculous amount of instructions to players, they're going to have no idea what's going on. They're going to get very confused and run around like headless chickens. So try and keep your tactics as basic as possible. I have mentioned there's not a lot of money here at the club, £131,000 in the bank. I mean, it seems like a lot of money to the average person. For a football club, it's not a lot. The wage structure here, there's £5,000 to spend. We've got £200 left of that to spend. So we're pretty much at the limit. And as we've said in the intro, they are the worst team in England. They are currently sitting bottom of the Vanarama National League North. And if we check out the Vanarama National League South, Havant and Waterlooville are on 15 points. As I was choosing the team, Dover were bottom, I think, on 18. So I think there's been a game which has changed there. So apologies for that. But Bishop Stortford are pretty much the worst team in the league. And they're actually the place where I've done my driving test as well. So another little fun fact for Bishop Stortford. They are predicted to come 23rd. They are obviously right at the bottom of the league. So it's going to be a very difficult rebuild. What I'm going to do first of all is just go ahead and do January. See if I can find any players that can come in and help us out for the end of this season. And hopefully we can secure safety. We've got a fair few points to go ahead and try and make up, as we got 10 points and a game in hand away from getting safety already. So it's a tough old task. So let's get into it. The January transfer window and then the end of the season. And as you can see, life at Stortford has got off to a fantastic start with 8 points in a possible 12, 2 wins, 2 draws, and being unbeaten is a fantastic start. It's lifted us off the bottom of the table, but still 7 points away from safety. But luckily now we've got 2 games in charge, and I have managed to do a few signings as well. So welcoming 3 brand new players. We've got Tobias Herlock, who is a decent 18-year-old winger. We've got Brandon Riviero, also a winger or a cam. Looks very, very good for this level. And Portuguese, so adds a little bit of flair into the squad. And Ben Ruta, who for me is a very decent striker. Now, one thing again, when you're looking at the lower leagues, star ratings often do not mean a thing. For example, Brandon Riviero is only 3.5 star player. But for this level, a player with 11 dribbling, 11 first touch, 12 flair, and that pace is a top tier cam or left winger. It says he's a good National League North player. trust me, he is going to be good enough for the likes of League 2. He is absolutely fantastic. And Ben Rutter, at this level, you're looking at pace and finishing on your striker. 12 finishing is very decent at this level, as is 12 pace and acceleration. I'd like him to have better concentration and composure, but at this level, you cannot be too picky. And again, the scouts are telling me he's a leading Trident League player. I don't even know what that is. It's not even on the game. And he's much better than that. And trust me, you're going to see that in the end of this season. Now, looking at the team, we are still in that 4-2-3-1. But as we pick by our best 11, we're going to have two of our men come into the team, Aviero and, trust me, Ben Rutter up front, a very strong advanced forward. The team is looking decent. I am confident that we're going to be able to survive this season. This sort of first little bit is just the real life season. And we're going to be keeping them up, obviously, because this game is difficult, but only to a point. If you plug in a good tactic, you make the right signings, of course, we can keep this team up. But this summer is where we're going to be making the first sort of tips and showing you guys how to absolutely smash this game. So let's just fast forward to them, where hopefully, touch wood, we are safe and we are now going to be building on the second season of the rebuild. And well, as you can see from the league table, we have of course stayed safe on 57 points and a -11 goal difference, which is an absolute massive rise from when we picked up the club. The form was fantastic from as soon as we walked through the door. I have not done anything special. I signed 3 players, I plugged in a decent tactic, and the form turned around. And sometimes a new manager is just what it takes at clubs like this. But the good news is that we are going to be in the Vanarama National League North next season, and we are not sacked in season 1, because that's what would have happened if I did not keep the team up, which is good to know. We are good enough to be in this league. Now, Giovanni McGregor was fantastic, and brand new signing Brandon Aviero with a 7.21 was absolutely outrageous. Now, my first tip for this rebuild is what I do when I build my squads at this level. You need to not be scared of having 0 players at the club. Now, I'm quite lucky. There's a few players that I think here are actually good enough to beat the squad. But the way I set up my team at the end of the season is to have your starting 11 picked and also your backup 11 on the bench. So sub 1, goalkeeper, sub 2, right back, sub 5, left back, sub 7 would be a DM, sub 9 would be a central attacking midfielder, and sub 11 would be your striker, etc. for every single position. And you can see from what we've got at the top here, there is a lot of players that we need to go out and sign. And at this level, I cannot stress that buying young players is not what you want to be doing. A good player that you're going to sign here with 5-star potential is going to be good enough in League 2. Very, very rarely in Vanarama National League North, South, or even the National League are you going to be able to pick up a 5-star potential player that's not going to choose a team in League 2 over you, that wants to be at the club and actually going to be viable for you to go ahead and sign. So first of all, piece of recommendation, change this instantly to being around 20 years of age, and max age at around 30. You don't need to have young players right now. You are looking for players that are top of the class that are available, and the first thing you're going to do is go over to all of them and scout every single one of them and get them all in on trial. This is the best piece of advice I can give anyone playing FM in the lower leagues. Trialing is a free version of scouting. You can see right there, I have bid on 22 players to get them in on trial. Click forward one day, every single player is going to come in on trial because they're currently without a squad, other than Lindley and Mitchell, who have already got bids on them and are going to move to them clubs. We're going to go forward one more day, and you can see we already have good knowledge on every single one of these players. And as we look through them on star rating, they are already a very good choice for our squad. Changes to reports, go by ability. Right there is 7 players that have no interest in them that are willing to come to us and are better than every single player in our squad. Now, obviously, you don't want to just sign the first one, and my best piece of advice is to use the 2 weeks of trial, because at the end of the 2 weeks, you'll have full knowledge on them players, on their stats. Right now, as we look at someone like Lucas Vine, we don't know a lot about him. It's saying he's a good Vanarama National League North player, but again, I stress, star ratings do not mean anything. We want to wait until we know this guy's stats, and in 2 weeks, we will know every single one of his stats. And again, 2 week trials over 1 week trials. 1 week trials, you find out probably 60%. 2 weeks, you find out all of their stats and things like their hidden personality, which you want to be able to know as well, because a player is stroppy and not going to be good for your squad morale. You don't want him around at the club. So I'm now going to go forwards and do this transfer window, pretty much scouting players like that in every single incident. Don't worry, there is a lot more tips on scouting at this level coming up. We've probably got 4 seasons until we're into League 2, so you're going to get 4 different scouting methods, so make sure you're still watching. Let's go forward and see what sort players we can pick up for this window. So it has taken me from the 2nd of May to the 4th of July to get a full squad that I am happy with. I now have 22 players that for me are going to be good enough to take us to the next level. And as we look at the Vanarama National League North season preview, we've gone from 23rd to 16th. Again, I guarantee you we are better than the 16th best team in this league, but that is what we have done with just one transfer window of business. Now, speaking of the transfers, there has been a hell of a lot. I'm not going to go through and show you every single player because, to be honest, a lot of these players are not going to be good enough for probably one season's time, so it'll be a waste of my time to show you now. I'll show you a few, like Kelechi Chibuze. This guy's a 20-year-old goalkeeper. I signed him because he's very determined. He is only 20 years of age and got a 3.5-star current ability, and he's got great ball playing ability, great one-on-one goalkeeping, and for this level is fantastic. So his age was even more of a bonus, the fact he was just 20 years of age. Now, if I go through the general selection info and you look at this squad and the age profile, you've got 20, 22, 27, 22, 21, 22, 21, 25, 22, 23, 21. Now, I did say age is not a massive thing when scouting, but if the best option is a young player, it is a massive, massive bonus because they could potentially have some sell-on value. Now, a lot of these players, again, are on non-contracts. Now, that is a thing in this level that you're going to have to just get used to. Some of the players will only sign non-contracts because you're a semi-professional club. So someone like Kieran Clements, who's a 3.5-star centre-back, or Giovanni McGregor, who's a 4-star winger, could leave the club at any time on a free contract, and there is nothing you could do about it. That is sadly just the way of non-league. So what you want to do is get him onto contracts, which we've done with the likes of Josh Hines, Brandon Naviero, Kelechi Chibuze, because obviously then there has to be a bid accepted by yourselves. And for players like McGregor and Clements, there is none of that. They don't have to talk to me at all. You can go straight to Kieran, give him a contract, and that's Kieran out of the door, sadly. But hopefully that doesn't happen too much. We're going to now go forward in Season 2 and see how we get on in the Vanarama National League North. I don't want to stay here for too long. We want to get out of the league as quick as possible. And obviously, in this league, there is only one promotion spot automatic, and then the playoffs is a one-game potluck bonus round. So we don't want to be doing any of that either. We want to automatically get promoted out of the National League North. And that is exactly what we've done on 103 points. We were over 23 points clear of the team in second place. And we built a squad which was more than good enough for this level. And again, it said we were the 16th best team. The journalists and the star ratings at this level really do not matter. You are trying to find players with good stats in them areas that matter. Like I said, for a striker, finishing and pace. For a centre-back, you're looking at marking, tackling and heading. Now, not only did we have a fantastic run in the league and end up winning it on 103 points, we also got to the final of the Isuzu FA Trophy. We lost 2-0 to Dorking, who have just come first in the Vanarama National League South. Interesting, no Vanarama National League won it this year. And last season, Scunthorpe, who were in the Vanarama National League North, also won it. So a little bit of a mishap in FM, possibly. I mean, the FA Trophy should be won by the best teams in the... It's like the FA Cup Championship teams winning it, which is very odd. But we've got to the final alongside Dorking. Sadly, lost that game 2-0. And as we look at this squad and how everyone was this season, the first thing you can see is we did lose star centre-back Kieran Clements. He left the club midway through the season, and there was nothing we could do about it because of the way I scout players and I build up my squads. We had 4 centre-backs, which went down to 3, which was more enough to cover. So someone like Ayo Shogbene or Caden Harrak coming into the team, 21 years of age, and did a good enough job, which is fantastic. Looking at the goal scorers, Ben Reuter, who hardly played a game last season, only scored 2 games, and is a leading Trident Leagues player, scored 29 goals and got 1 assist this season. And like I said, he is just a good striker in the positions he needs to be. 12 finishing, 12 determination, good pace. I was not worried about this guy being a bagsman because I know FM lower leagues and I know the little stats that you just need to be good at. He loves big matches and he's got the key stats and he's good in the key areas, which is exactly what you are looking for in the lower leagues. You're not looking for someone to be an all-rounder. You want them to be a specialist. Josh Hines also is fantastic. He scored 23 goals and got 13 assists off the left wing this season. He's fairly quick. He's quite big at 5'10", good finishing, good determination. fantastic for him to play anywhere across the front three and a very helpful, versatile player. Kareem Isaka, a pacey winger, exactly what we needed. Brandon Aviero is leaving the club because of his outrageous performances this season, 15 goals and 16 assists. He's Portuguese, he's a cam. Easy Bruno Fernandes. He is off, leaving the club to Salgueiros in Argentina, in Portugal. Giovanni McGregor, 12 goals, 12 assists, and Jordan Aina, who was our fullback with 8 goals and 19 assists. And again, as a fullback, he is not the greatest defensively, but going forward, 7 crossing and outrageous pace at this level was just more than good enough for him to absolutely dominate this league. A 7.48 average rating and 19 assists is simply stupid at this level, given what he's got. He's just quick. That's pretty much all he's got in his locker. And Dan Walker is pretty much the opposite. Not very quick, but does the defensive work quite well. Still got 12 assists in the league and a 7.08, but it shows you that being a good defensive fullback is not always the best thing. Having pure pace at this level is just as vital to getting great results out of your defenders at this level. And I stress that is at this level because as you go through the levels, of course, technical ability, mental ability comes into it a lot more. But from my understanding and from the countless saves I have done at this level, pace is the biggest sort of differential between your players and the sort of AI. They don't look at it too much. You can look at it and you can exploit it at the highest of levels. Now, obviously next season, we're going up to the Vanarama National League. As I look through the contracts in this club, there is a lot of players whose contracts are expiring this season, and if I just sort of deselected every single one of them, we'd have 6 players left. And again, even though we've just absolutely smashed it, do not be scared to have a big old clear out, because I can guarantee you and tell you right now, a lot of the players that were fantastic this season are not going to be good enough for the Vanarama National League North and are going to have to leave the club. So welcome in a whole host of brand new players who improved this team a drastic amount. We've made a slight change and put Hines up front because we've signed players, again, that are going to be fantastic in this league, like Reece Smith, a very quick, versatile left wing or cam. Seb Booth, who's an 18, well, now 19-year-old central attack midfielder with outrageous dribbling, first touch, and decision making. And at this level, playing in cam, I cannot stress how good of a pickup someone like Seb Booth is. We've still got McGregor at right wing. Somehow he stayed around at the club. Alexander and Page in DM. Tom Clifford, a brand new left back. I mentioned the other guy was decent. This guy, 12 crossing, 11 pace. Not as good defensively. I guarantee you he smashes his assist record from last season. Jordan Aina is, of course, going to mainly play at right back, but if not, Cracknell is here as his backup at 23 years of age. Williams and Agbula at centre back are going to be good enough. Agbula is quick. Williams is also fairly quick on 11 pace apiece. And again, looking at the defensive stats that are very important: tackling, marking, and heading. I call them the holy trinity. They need to be able to be good in them 3 at this level, as well as having a bit of pace about them, and they'll be absolutely fantastic. As we look at the season preview, we are 250 to 1 to win the league and the worst team in the league. But again, I guarantee you we are going to outperform that a hell of a lot. And I am so confident because of the sheer amount of players we have had on trial in just this summer. There is 189 players here that have been scouted and been on the shortlist, and I guarantee you pretty much every single one of them has been at the club over the last 3 months, as we are now on the 23rd of July. I have got the best squad possible for this club at this level. We are just about over the wage budget and we are spending a hell of a lot of money. And the thing that I want to show you this time around in terms of scouting is international appearances. Now, this might sound a little bit outrageous, but yes, it is possible to sign players at this level with youth appearances in the international level. And if you feel like you've scouted everyone there is to scout, this is something that I will use consistently to help me find players no matter what level I am sitting at. So what you want to do is head to the scouting, click edit search, click on this drop down here, down to international and to youth appearances. Now I've got this set up already as a minimum of 1 youth appearance. And what you want to do is pretty much just get any of these players in on trial. I mean, Arlo Doherty, I'm not sure if we'd have ever seen before. Get them on trial for 2 weeks. And another thing you need to be able to do is to set this to UK and Ireland, so you get a few more scouts come in. There you go, 70 players come in. This scouting range is something you I have to be very, very careful of, which I must say I'm awful at being careful with it because it's very, very expensive and I often forget to turn it off. But we're going to go through and, again, get some of these 70 players in on trial as well. You can only have 30 players on trial at once, but we'll offer it anyway and see who comes in. As soon as you've done that, take this off back to no scouting. It's a little bit of a cheat around the system. You've just found another 54 players that you wouldn't have potentially seen by just clicking one button. You've spent no money and that is all you've had to do, and you've found an extra 54 players like Will Ferry. That name I know is someone that at this level absolutely bangs. I've seen him on so many FMs. He's just come up on that list. He wasn't before. I'm pretty sure he's one of the names that wasn't before. He was. All right, ignore me. Jordan Ibe is here, for example. There's lots of players that could potentially come in on trial, and again, a lot of them are going to get rejected. A lot of them are going to get accepted. Mark them all as red. Go up to the ones that are accepted. Now, some of them are going to be absolutely rubbish, which is just the reality of scouting and getting players in on trial. Now, if we set this by squads, go by report, have a look at ability, there are some players here that could be fantastic. There are some players here that are simply not good enough and have been scouted using that method, but are never going to make it. They might have had a youth appearance for Bermuda, for example, and are never going to make it at a club like this. Simply go onto them, right-click them all, terminate their trials. It costs you absolutely nothing to get that little bit of knowledge. Someone like Jordan Ibe could potentially be a game breaker that you'd have never have seen at this level. I'm done for transfers, so none of these are actually going to come in to the club, but it's just another way you could potentially find players by using international youth appearances. Now, that is a lower league tip on how to scout international youth appearances, but there is going to be one later on in the video for youth appearances internationally, because there is sort of another level they can go to as you go up the sort of leagues. As you get to sort of League One and Championship, you no longer want to be scouting everyone with a youth appearance, because like you say, you could get someone from Bermuda. Right now, there's not a lot of choice of players. When you get up the levels, there might be someone from Argentina that you can find, and again, I'll be showing you how to find them players from the bigger nations later on in the video. But let's go forward for this season to see what we can do in the first season in the National League. Remember, we are bottom of the league in the season preview, which, as you can see from this league table, is an absolute travesty because we have come in 10th place on 69 points. Now, we are quite a way away from the playoffs and from champions, but we are also 40 odd points away from relegation from the league, where we were tipped to finish. And again, I stress, is because I'm signing players who have got the correct attributes in the position. A fantastic season this season, and one that I'm very, very happy with. Again, looking at the players that done bits. Josh Hines, Harvey Greenslade, who's a striker we signed this summer, also is quick. He can sort of finish. He's got good decision making. Perfect for an advanced forward. Elliot Andrew, Seb Booth this season, I said was going to be outrageous, just 19 years of age, 11 goals and 6 assists, and a fantastic replacement for Portuguese man Brandon Aveiro. And again, some of these players might be available on your saves to go ahead and find, and if that is the case, obviously feel free to go ahead and sign them. Like Tom Clifford, I mentioned the left back was going to be a key area last season. Jordan Ibe absolutely smashed it at right back with a 7.48 or something, and our left back had a 7.02. Well, this season, both of them are even. Both with 15 assists. One got 5 goals, one got 4. Tom Clifford, a 7.28, and Jordan Ibe, a 7.2. Just showing that small change in being able to cross a ball and having the pace was more than good enough for this team and good enough for this league as well. So absolutely buzzing with the 2 wing backs and how they have performed. And overall, as a squad, I'm very, very happy. Now, on the right wing, we did have, who was here from the very start, and I forgot his name, has ended up leaving the squad. And that summer was a massive summer of sort of everyone going ahead, leaving, lots of new transfers in. And this summer is going to be the exact same, because when we look at this contract situation, look at the squad, a lot of players here are going to be leaving. No contract left. So even someone like Kelechi Chibueze, who's been fantastic for us, might be out the door. We'll see if we can get him on a brand new contract, but there could be someone better for us. And again, the way we'll do that is by going through the scouting with Joji. And of course, as we go up in reputation, there is more players here which are willing to go ahead and join us, like someone like Caleb Chukwuemeka, who's interested in teams like Alfreton, Chippenham and Hornchurch. He's been at Aston Villa. His brother plays for Chelsea. He's probably a very good player, someone worth getting in on trial, and just your club getting better in reputation helps you out so much. But there is one more scout method which I think is absolutely pivotal in non-league that not enough people talk about. That is this whole thing up here, using your director of football. Now, our director of football, David Brindley, is okay. He's not the greatest. Try and improve this every single season. But what he can do is he can find you players that are willing willing to join the club that are going to be absolutely fantastic. Now, what you have to do is go to request director of football suggestion over here. Click in the position you want. I personally, for the first sort of 6 weeks of the transfer window, do this for every single position, week in, week out. Go goalkeeper, free transfer, suggest. Right back, free transfer, suggest. Centre back, free transfer, suggests. Until you've gone through every single position and you have a host here of 30 players that probably are not going to be on your scouting list. Now, the most frustrating thing about this list is if you drag down and you right click, you cannot do anything, which is very annoying. I wish you could do it. It would make the trial system so much easier. Sadly, when you're on this one, you have to do it one by one. Right clicking on Brian Chinnar, offer trial, 2 week. Down to the next player, Rocco Rees. Transfer, offer trial, 2 weeks. It is very long, very annoying and very frustrating. It's not the same as everything else where you could right click, drag, right click and click in and you can't do anything, which is very, very frustrating. I wish you could, but it's certainly worth doing because, again, throughout this whole rebuild, even right up to sort of the championship, I use this and abuse this to a ridiculous level because there is players here that will not come up on your scouting, but your director of football might have had previous relationship with or just has the contact details of and can get them in on trial at the club. I mean, for example, we've just offered, 3 or 4 players or even 2 players contracts there. We're going to get them into the club right now and see how good they are compared to our goalkeeper. We obviously have Chibuozi in goal. Brian Chinnar and Rocco Rees come in and absolutely smash him out of the water. Obviously, again, I would do the full 2-week trial to choose which one we want, but I guarantee you one of them 2 goalkeepers is going to be much better than Chibuozi and probably the one we go ahead and bring in. So let's go forward for the transfer window. Our goal this season was obviously to get promoted from the Vanarab National League the actual National League. The last thing you want to be doing is stuck in this league for a long time. It is an absolute pig to get out of because of the same as the National League North and South. There is only one automatic promotion place and then the playoffs. Lord, we need to build a squad good enough to be the best in the league. So again, we're not going to be focusing on youth. We're going to be going for players that are the best of their ability in that position. If it's a young player, bonus. If it's a 32-year-old, does not matter. He is going to be good enough to take us to the next step. Just like our brand new superstar centre-back, Tyler Maguire. Now, there was a player who was a 3-star current ability and 5-star potential ability who looked great and potentially would be a better shout if I was in League 1 or League 2. But given the league we're in and given it's the hardest league to go out in, I went on pure quality. And Tyler Maguire at 27 years of age isn't going to improve much. But when you've got 17 acceleration, 18 pace, 12 heading, 12 tackling, 8 marking isn't the greatest, I am certainly going to be bringing you in as quick as possible because a player of this quality with that pace goes absolutely a long old way at a league like this. He is fantastic and is going to make a huge difference to our team and is one of the biggest things, again, like I've said the whole time, do not worry about age too much. Now, as you look through our squad, it's 25, 24, 24, 27, 26, 23. A 19-year-old and Frankie Jones is great, but then 24, again, a 19-year-old and Seb Booth is great, 23 and 22. I guarantee you Seb Booth and Frankie Jones are not going to be good enough for even League 1. I mean, this guy has 5-star potential and is potentially a League 2 standard midfielder. The only reason he's worth bringing in and playing in this team is because he's the best player in that position. There is no point in trying to bring in young players that are going to be good enough. You're just wasting your wage budget. I mean, already with what we've done, we're £717 over the wage budget, which is a lot of money. And at the end of the season, I'll go through and check out our team detailed and show you guys exactly how we're doing wage-wise compared to everyone else. We're spending, I think, £11,000 in wages, which really isn't a lot given sort of the squad we've built and the quality of the players we've got. Let's go forward and see how we do get on. We are predicted this season to come down in 17th place. Last season, we predicted 24th. We come 10th. 17th place. 14th place above that would be 3rd. That's what we done last season. Can we do it again? Want to bring you back in a National League playoffs final, and one that we have won on penalties. Very, very nerve-wracking to get all the way to here and to not be absolutely dominating. We've got to go to penalties, which is very, very scary, but we've gone ahead and won it. We are going up into League 2, but it just shows, again, predicted to come 17th. We signed the right players in the right position, and we absolutely smashed it. Massively overachieving and absolutely smashing our goals of being now up into League 2. In just, I think, 4 seasons so far, we have taken the worst team in England to being a professional club in League Two, which is fantastic. I won't bore you and watch all the penalties. It was a 3-3 game against Woking. Stats-wise, we were very, very even, 45% possession to their 55. Shots were pretty much the exact same. XG, we had 3.25, they had 1.31. Actually, as we look at the National League table itself, we come down in 5th place, Woking on 3rd place on 85 points, but York, who was just 2 points away from the trophy, did not get to the playoff finals, which is gutting for them. Aldershot smashed this season on 90 points, but I'm very happy with how we done. We were just sort of 4 or 5 points away from not being in the playoffs, and to get in the playoffs and win it is absolutely fantastic. And as we look at this screen with our average ratings, there is a standout player here again that continues to amaze me, and that is Jordan Aina with 16 assists again, and just showing how important at this level pace is, because as you look at his stats, he's really nothing special, but 16 assists and a 7.25 average rating. Last season, 12 assists, a 7.15 average rating. The season before that, a 7.47 and 15 assists. He is not the greatest right back in the world in terms of defensive ability. He's not the most determined player. He's a balanced personality, but he has got so much pace that when he runs down the line, defenders just do not have the pace to keep up with him. He's got a little bit of sort of concentration ability about him where he can pull the ball back for someone to tap it into the back of the net, and that was what Harvey Greenslade was fantastic at this season as well. 22 goals for him. Now again, he's got great decision making, decent finishing and great pace, so more than good enough to be a striker at this level. Josh Hines, a little bit of a fall off this season, 6 goals and 2 assists, but someone like Seb Booth, who I sort of said was an absolute coup for us, again this season, 6 goals and 12 assists, a 7.22 average ratings. Played 72 games for the mighty Stortford so far, and it's been absolutely fantastic. I worry the next step is going to be a step too far for him, but as you look at his sort of stats, 14 dribbling, 13 decision making, 13 flair, 12 passing, 14 technique, 12 teamwork, 14 vision. Realistically, they are good stats for like a League One player. He's missing a lot of the stats in and around everywhere else. His pace is shocking. His stamina is shocking. His heading, his long shots, his marking, his penalty taking, his corners, his crossing are all shocking. But you stick him in cam on an attacking midfielder on attack, he just needs to be able to pick the ball up and create. And that is exactly what we've got him in for. And that is exactly what he is absolutely fantastic at. Again, looking through the contracts, this season is going to be a massive season of a clear out. We've got a whole host of players that could be leaving the club. We have got a lot of players on maybe 2-year contracts now, which is quite good because it's a bit more financial security. We're of course now going to go to a professional club as well. We already have actually gone to professional. One thing here at Stortford is the facilities are absolutely shocking, and I can tell you right now, hand on heart, every single time I stopped this simulation at the end of the season and the start of the next season, I would request training facilities, youth facilities and youth recruitment, but they were useless and never gave me a single thing. And even until we get into the Premier League later on down the line, we did not have an under 21s club, and this youth recruitment I think is still like 2-star silver youth recruitment potential, which is infuriating, but it meant that the rebuild was even harder, and it meant we couldn't develop our own players, which is frustrating and something that I've loved to have done, giving a bit more of a storyline to certain players, but that wasn't the case, which is frustrating, but it is what it is. Let's go on to the next tip for League 2 transfer window. Now in this window, we signed Dean Brisley. He is an 18-year-old who was in the Manchester United Academy, has 4.5-star current ability and 5-star potential ability. But how did we sign someone like Dean? It's by setting up this scouting method. Now what we've done is we've set the age criteria. It's between the age of 15 and 22. Put the contract status as expiring in the next 3 months, because at the end of the simulation we're on the 17th of May. And the division we are in as the Premier League. Now as you do that is you head to add condition, club and based in division, set this, go to Europe, England and Premier League. Now, what we've got here is we've got 5 players in Ryan Carroll, Joshua Maskell, Harry William, Ian Togo and Max Fry, who at the moment would be interested in coming to us. Now, I would offer them trials, of course, because their contracts at Premier League clubs are going to be expiring, and hopefully we can keep an eye on them and get them in the door nice and early before anyone else picks them up. But as we go forward and as you sort of get closer and closer to the end date, and as you now tick over to being a League 2 club, which is going to be sort of in the middle of June, in the end of, so just like 2 weeks before their contract runs out, you'll tick over to being a League 2 club, and a lot more players will be interested. As we look at this right now, there's only 5. If we were to untick them being interested, there's 109 players, for example. Now, you could go through and already go ahead and see if any of them want to come in on trial. But right now, none of them are going to be interested. You have to sort of wait until the end of June before their contracts end up expiring. And I sort of absolutely suggest that you get these guys in before their contracts expire. It's very hard to find them once their contracts expired because they're no longer based at the Premier League club. They're just free agents out there in the world. So even if you were to go ahead and drag and drop them all, add to shortlist indefinitely, just so they're on your shortlist of players, that is even a way to potentially get around doing that. But that for me is one of the best scouting methods to go ahead and do. Now we're sort of going up into League Two. We're a professional club. Players that drop out the Premier League are willing to now come and talk to you. When you're in the Vanarama National League North and South, and even the Vanarama National League, a lot of them don't even want to talk to you. They don't want anything to do with you. As soon as you go up into League Two, you can get great players. And of course, someone like Dean is an extremely rare find. I mean, this guy is probably going to go on to be championship level striker. He's not got the greatest finishing, but great determination and great pace. Still at this level is absolutely pivotal. You can then go down into the championship and find just someone like Tanasawaya Nukawaya from Cardiff. This guy made an appearance in the championship, so he is obviously going to have a bag to potential and potentially be a fantastic player. Great pace again, great first touch, good crossing, good dribbling, determined player, which is great to see. He's also 6'4", which makes him a bit of an anomaly in terms of player who's that quick, 6'4" at this level. Fantastic player to go and have, but you don't only search Premier League, you can also search the division sort of below that, so like the Championship. League One, you can then sort of change the age criteria from 15 to 23 to sort of 22 to 30, because at that point, if they're going League One to League Two, you sort of need them to be at the top of their game already and sort of a 3-star current ability player rather than being a youngster. Whereas from the Premier League, you're looking for the best youngsters that are not getting the contract renewed, like Dean Brisley, as you can see here from the star ratings, is a complete enough standout from anyone else. We also have still got Taylor Maguire at the back, Harrison Minturn, Max Kilsby, Fraser Alexander, Michael da Costa Gonzalez. I remember being a fantastic pickup. Great pace, great crossing, great first touch, great free kick taken. Again, at this level is absolutely fantastic. Spanish player, released from Bournemouth, signed the exact same way we found Dean Brisley, and should be an absolute standout in this window. So far, I've played 5 games and got 9 points, which is fantastic. You can see on the 29th of August, that shows you how much trialing and how much scouting we have been doing up until this point. And obviously, we've got off to a fantastic start, but again, the media are predicting us to come at 200 to 1, bottom of the league. Again, we'll prove them wrong and we'll absolutely smash it this window. Again, just to look at transfers and show you how many players are incoming. There is a lot of turnover, hence why I'm not going through and showing you a player every single time, because there is so many players. This video would be 7 hours long if we were to do it that way. So it is much more of a fast-paced rebuild rather than sort of me showing you every single player. Balance-wise, we've got lots of money in the bank for this level as well, 142k. I think at this point we can actually check the detailed statistics. We actually can, which is brilliant, and show you guys the salary per annum. We're spending £1.1 million, which is about 200k more than Cheltenham. Sheffield Wednesday are spending 4 times our money, so it shows you as well. Money-wise, we are competing with clubs at this point who are using twice as much salary for the most part in the playoffs, and we are just a little club down here not spending a lot. And transfer-wise as well, we have currently spent, I don't think, a single penny. 7.5k there on Toby Bowyer. Other than that, that is our first signing for actual money. You do not need to sign many players for money at this point. There is no point. You can get more than a good enough squad on free transfers. A little bonus tip for you guys, but let's go forward into League Two. And from now on, to speed things up a little bit, we'll go through every single promotion, and I'll go through the season before as well. So it took us 2 seasons to get out of League Two. In the first season, we come in 11th place on 69 points, a positive 16 goal difference, which is fantastic. And this season, we come 4th in the league, 4 points outside of the automatic promotion places, which is great in League Two because there's 3 of them, meaning playoffs is extremely frustrating and annoying to go through again, but we had to go ahead and do it. We come 4th. We faced off this season against Leyton Orient in the final, and again, won on penalties, which is weird that back-to-back we have now gone ahead and done that. It looks like we were absolutely shafted in this one. They scored in the 94th and 97th minute, so if I was actually playing this as my save, I'd have probably been crying at the screen and been absolutely fuming. Now, you can see in our team there has been a few changes, and one big change is Dean Brisley has left the club. And as I mentioned, he was very good for us and probably the top of his level for a sort of a League Two player. So he has left to Huddersfield, and he was fantastic for us in the first season. He scored 27 goals in 40 appearances, but very quickly on, he moved to Huddersfield. £115,000 is all we got for him, which is game-changing for our finances, because if you look at it, that sort of helped us in a time around here. We were in negative balance, and it helped us massively now to be positive and have lots and lots of money in the bank. So fantastic that Dean Brisley has gone on to bigger and better things. Huddersfield are currently sitting in League One. We're probably facing him next season, which is interesting, when he beats us in the playoff final, because that is exactly how FM likes to work. Now, someone like Moise Kempi, who scored 22 goals this season, has been signed. He was released from Portsmouth, who I believe were in the Championship at the time, using the method that I showed you guys last time out. Unbelievable pace, dribbling, no finishing whatsoever, but because of his stupid pace at this level, he scored 23 goals, and he's actually playing up front, I believe, as well. As we look at the tactics, he has got 6 finishing, 6 composure, but just simply because of his pace, he is absolutely smashing this level, which just shows you guys pace is very overpowered on FM. And also Nukawaya, the guy we signed from Cardiff a few seasons ago, 22 goals off that left wing, has been fantastic, and last season as well was also very good. This season, even better, but he's been an absolute superstar for us, and it just shows again, using the scouting methods that I am showing you, we are finding some absolute superstars. Dominic Ball has been a very good midfielder for us. He's 33 years of age. Joseph Adama was the player that we signed to be the new striker, rather than having Dean Brisley up front. Now, I actually found this guy using I don't know how I found him, to be honest. He's from the Nigerian leagues, Aqua United. And I've actually just gone through my scouting and found how I found this guy. And it was using the youth appearances at a minimum of 5, looking at 15 to 21. Obviously sorting it by striker at the time, where I found him using this method of the youth appearances. I'm guessing if we go back onto his name, it will show us that he's got 11 under 20 caps for Nigeria. That is exactly how I found him, and someone that I certainly wouldn't have found any other scouting method other than using that one, because I'm not being funny, a club like Bishop Stortford are not going to know about a Nigerian striker, so we've had to use our brain. Look who's got youth appearances, and that is how we found a player like Joseph Adama, who could potentially go on to be sold for £500,000. And again, looking at our League 2 season preview this season, we were predicted to come 23rd. We are upsetting odds every single time, absolutely smashing it. I have to say, this tactic is fantastic. It is a very, very strong 4-2-3-1, and the tactic is actually coming out on the 22nd of January, I believe, from Josh Daly himself. He's got it all prepared to come out on that day, as he's away on holiday. So for now, this tactic is available on Patreon, along with the save files for this rebuild. There'll be a whole host of them on that Patreon file. So if you feel free to want to go ahead and support and be like the legends on screen right now, you can pick up the download for this tactic. It is coming out for free via video in just 10 or 9 days time, as you guys see this video. But if not, if you want to help support on Patreon, feel free to go ahead and do so. It's down below. It helps me out massively. Now let's go forward for League One, see what sort of signs we can make, and see what sort of tips I can give you as well. You can also see up to this point in League One, I've got no idea, 40-50 minutes into this video, I've not mentioned loans once. And as the old singing from Zealand goes of how good loans could be, I just don't think they're necessary. I think they can probably get you up the leagues quicker, but they're also just not your players, and you're not building up your club at all. Now, don't get me wrong, sometimes it is pivotal to bring in a player if they're free and available to go and get for no loan fee. Go ahead and get them, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with bringing in loans. But I feel like the rebuild we've done here of signing no one on loan, everyone has come in to the club, we've paid their wages, we've gone ahead, sold them on for money, or, you know, they've gone ahead and not been good enough and moved on after. We've just built up a squad here, like Moises Kempi. He is our player. We could sell him right now. Adami, 400k. We could sell him right now. Whereas a loan, you're sort of building up another team's sort of loanee young players. I'd rather not do that. I'm not saying Zealand is wrong, of course. Loans are fantastic, but sometimes don't go straight to the loan list. See if you can get players in on a free contract first. That is certainly something I look to do throughout my rebuilds, and anything I do in terms of FM, I never like using loans. For me, they are a complete waste of time. I'm just building up someone's player to £80 million value, and I can never see them again, and never fall in love with loan players. I've been taught that. So yeah, loans I don't use. free transfers, young players to come in, sell them on for money. That is my tip for this season. Let's go ahead and see how long it takes us to get out of League One and how we get to the point of doing it. So League One, the first season, we come 18th and probably did not strengthen quite as much as I thought we'd done. 56 points, just 8 points above the relegation zone, so I'm glad we've gone ahead and dodged that one. But the building we done for season 2 was fantastic, to the point we were 1 point away from winning the league, but also we were 4 points away from coming 7th. So a very, very tight season, 1 point away from winning the league, but it does mean we were automatically promoted in 2nd place with a 30 goal difference, the best in the league, which is fantastic. 85 points, 26 wins, 7 draws. A fantastic season when we come 2nd to MK Dons, who are a big club with a small fan base. We'll say it. We'll get MK Don slander out of the way nice and early. But I'm very, very happy. It took 2 seasons to get out of the National League, 2 seasons to get out of League One, 2 seasons to get out of League Two. And we are now into the Championship, which means money-wise, we are starting to go up a hell of a lot. Our wage budget is now £67,000 a week, which again, if we compare it to what we're sort of competing against, we aren't spending anywhere near that. We are, in terms of salary per annum, on £2.23 million, whereas MK Dons, who we just settled with, actually only 3.8, but Preston 15. So we are against some big boy money now, and we are doing well to sort of swim the way we are. We are finding players that are very cheap, again using all the scatter methods that I have shown you. I mean, someone like Luke Enright is certainly worth a shout. This guy is a 2.5 star decent National League striker. He's got 15 finishing, 13 composure, good pace, scored 12 goals in 11 starts. Obvious this guy is gonna bag goals, and he exactly does that. Sometimes star ratings just do not matter. And I think it's pretty clear to say as well that finishing does not also matter in League One, and pace is still very, very overpowered, because Moise Kameni, with his 6 finishing, scored 24 goals in the first season, 16 in this season, and has been absolutely smashing it. He has got 17 pace, and he pretty much just runs past everybody. He might miss a lot of chances. I mean, to be fair, he's outscoring his XG, so these stats don't even matter in that sense. I don't understand how this guy is scoring so many goals, but he is absolutely smashing it, just showing how good pace can be. We've also signed an absolute superstar here in Alex Booth. I mean, this guy was released from Spurs using the way that I showed you, by finding players that are, getting released in a month's time or 3 months' time from Premier League clubs. Alex Booth was one of them from Spurs, a value of nearly, up to £1 million, 19 years of age. Absolutely fantastic player, and we got him on a free transfer again, and still spending pretty much no money so far, bringing in young players. Edwin Burns is another one that looks fantastic from Everton, signing the exact same way as a central defence midfielder, potentially £750,000 worth of value in him. Jamie Wynn is another one, this time from the Championship in Swansea. 17 determination, great finishing, dribbling, crossing, and great pace. A fantastic player, potentially going to be good enough for us to, in the future, be an absolute superstar. And the last player I want to mention is Charlie Casper, because this guy has actually been with us now since the National League, and is actually proving to be a fantastic goalkeeper for us. He wasn't great in his first season in League Two, but done fantastic in his second. And again, maybe it's the defence. First season in League One wasn't fantastic. Second was absolutely brilliant. And look at his stats. He is not all of that, but he is consistent. He's a decent League Two goalkeeper, and is still the goalkeeper now going up into the Championship. And I'm going to tell you now, for the next few seasons, I'm going to try and find someone better than him. They just don't play. This guy plays every single game and does fantastic over the next few seasons as well. So on your saves, if you're looking for a keeper at National League level, he's at Burnley in real life. I don't know how old he is. He's probably quite young. He's 18 as you start the game. He's fantastic. Go ahead and get him. His stats are very, very well rounded. He's going to absolutely smash it for you. One thing that I've really tried to do over the last few seasons as well is improve the staff. Now, the board do not want to give me more coaches, so it is me, an assistant manager, 3 coaches, and a set piece coach still running things as we go up into the Championship, because the board, as you can tell from the training facilities, and youth recruitment, are the most stubborn board in the world and do not give us any improvements whatsoever. But the actual staff members we've got, if we look at someone like Matt Francis, is actually very good. 14 attacking and 12 defending. We've got 14 attacking, 11 defending, 12 mentals. Great working with youngsters, Elliot Dickman. And the last one we've got is Gary Roberts, 16 attacking, 20 motivational. Staff is absolutely pivotal, and this is probably going to be my tip for the League One sort of section of this, is that having the right staff is absolutely key. Your players get trained by these men. They need to be of good quality. If you have staff which are just pretty mediocre, your players won't grow to a level that you want them to. You have to have staff which are going to be able to train players into the players you want them to be. Now, for us here at Bishop Stortford, we're really struggling because our training facilities are only 1 star and our youth facilities are only 1 star as well. So as good as our staff can be, our facilities, we've got a field with some balls. We have not got a 5-star facility, so we can't really build anyone to the top level, but we can certainly help by getting the best staff available. I would constantly look at improving your staff every single season when it comes to renewing the staff's contracts. Come to here, go to staff, and just look if you can improve them in any way. If you go to the staff search, we currently got great attacking coaches. Literally go to coaches, attributes, pick attacking, not defending, 15 minimum. Benny McCarthy's available. It'd have been a great coach to pick up. He's a great attacking coach. If we were to get 4 available, I'd probably get someone else in. Dean Radonovic, great attacking coach. We've already got great attackers. Let's look at a great defensive coach. Just change that to defending. Go to 15. Gary Hill from Salisbury. This guy is lights out good and would be fantastic. And it's going to certainly help you out in terms of developing players. Because currently for us, it's very, very difficult. It is just pretty much game time. Training for us is our staff being as good as they can be, our facilities letting us down. But staff is a massive thing you need to look out for. Now we're going to go ahead and do the championship portion. It's going to be very difficult to get the championship. I think it might take us 3 or 4 years, because even this summer, as we were a League One club, if we look at our season preview, we were still predicted to come 23rd. Now, obviously 50-1, that's the same as 21st, but we've massively outperformed every single season. We're probably going to get to a bit of a bottleneck where we're no longer going to be sort of good enough to just outperform. We're going to have to actually build the team up to being a good enough level, but we'll see. It's going to take us a while to get the championship, but let's see how long it does take us and how we did it. So the year is now 2034 and Bishop Stortford are going up to the Premier League. After beating Wolves in the playoff finals, I believe it's taken us 3 seasons. We are now 11 seasons in to this rebuild. We are a long way into the future, and we are now going to be a Premier League club. We've still got a long way to become Premier League and Champions League champions, but season 11, we have done it. You see a brand new striker in Kyle Amato, absolutely smashing it. I will show you how we have found players like that in just a few seconds, but we have ended up winning the Championship playoffs this season, which is brilliant. I have mentioned that it's going to be a bit of a slog now. I think 31-32 was our first season in the Championship. We come 9th, which is fantastic. 32-33, we come 7th, just outside of the playoffs, and this season we come 6th, just inside the playoffs, only 6 points off winning the league, but you know, a very, very good season and winning the playoffs, which is fantastic. We actually transitioned the Championship football very well, never really falling out of being in contention in the playoffs. 72 points, we were just 7 in the first season away from getting into the playoffs. We were 7 points away in season 2 to get into the playoffs, and we smashed it this season to get into the playoffs and get our chance of Premier League football. Now, the squad and staff have improved massively here at Bishop Stortford, and that is because of constant asking for the board to give us that, but I genuinely don't believe it would be possible without making our staff at this level. We've now got 8 coaches, a ZP coach, an assistant manager, and myself, so we have pretty much got the best staff in the league. We've got 6 out of the 8 possible scouts. That has just been improved, which is fantastic, meaning we can now actually scout not just the UK and Ireland, but the world. And that helped us to find a player like Kyle Amato, who again, I don't think we'd have found without using our youth appearances sort of thing that we do in terms of scouting the world. And finding Kyle Amato, who was capped at the under-23s, leveled for America, absolutely smashed it in Seattle in the MLS, and then didn't get a brand new contract. So we picked him up, and in the Championship, he has got plus 17 goals in all 3 seasons. And like you saw there, scored the winner in the playoff final. He's got 18 finishing, 16 determination, 15 composure, and great pace. Apparently a League 2 level player. That makes 0 sense to me in any way. I'm not sure if the scouts have just got stuck in the fact that our reputation is very good or something, because there is no way a striker with 18 finishing, 15 composure, 16 determination, and that sort of pace is going to be a League 2 level player. He would score 200 goals in League 2, so I'm not sure if it's a slight bug with what it's telling me. But again, just another reason to not always look at star ratings and to look at individual stats, because it is obvious this guy is going to absolutely bag goals if he's sitting up front, and he has been absolutely fantastic. Someone like Ulrike Shahin, we've had to train from striker to cam because of how good he was, and this guy is released from, I believe, Middlesbrough or even Preston or Salford. I don't know where he was released from, but he's consistent. He loves a big match, and again, at this sort of point, we can start looking at things like that. He has 16 dribbling, great determination, great pace. Again, a free transfer from Middlesbrough, decent first season, but this guy is an absolute superstar and apparently is a good championship level player. Now for me, when you compare their graphs, there is obviously differences in their game, but for someone to be a League 2 level striker and someone to be a championship, when the League 2 one has the same speed and same attacking, which is exactly what you need as a striker, it just makes zero sense. So again, sometimes just ignore the star ratings and look at the key stats, because Sahin is fantastic and he is a good championship level player, but compared to Kyle Amato, I know who I'd rather have up front, which is why I made that executive decision. Alex Booth is still here and is absolutely smashing it. Caleb Anson is a keeper that I signed to come in and be our superstar. I mean, he's got 19 area reach, 17 communication, great one-on-ones, was released from Norwich in the championship, and again found the way that I showed you guys in terms of scouting from, we're getting him on trial while they were still at their parent club. But Charlie Casper, who in my opinion is nowhere near as good as a good goalkeeper, is still playing every single game, now has a value of £10 million and is a good League 2 keeper. And I believe it. I've got no idea how this guy is playing at this level, but he is. And again, we've even signed Mbappe. Martin Mbappe, it's a regen. He's been signed from Cotton Sport in, I believe, Cameroon for £165,000. And that is through the scouting that I'll show you guys in just 2 seconds. But this guy is absolutely fantastic. Great marking, tackling, heading, great defensively, great determination, aggression, bravery, etc. But how we found him is by having a scout that has some world knowledge and just scout in Africa, in the continent area region. Now, again, for a full scouting breakdown on this exact scout method, I've done a full video on, because it is absolutely fantastic. The only thing that I would add to that video, which I wish I put in there, but I didn't, is what I'm going to show you guys right now, is that looking at the world knowledge is the most important thing. So the guy that knows a little bit about Africa is Josh Onuma. Now, obviously, that guy plays in real life, currently as a footballer, but right now he's a retired scout, and he has world knowledge of England and Nigeria. So it's good to send someone that has world knowledge of where you're going to have to send them into their scouts. Now we've got them 2 extra scouting places, so now we can send someone to South America and North America as we go ahead and hire scouts. That will be good enough to go ahead and look at America and South America. We've already got someone for Australia and New Zealand. We've got someone for Asia. Now time to get probably a better European one, a North American one, a South American one. Make sure to colour this map in as much as you can, so you can go to recruitment focuses and you can find players from all over the world from your scouts. As a club, we are now pretty rich. We've got £30 million in transfer budget, 140k in wage budget. Finances wise, apparently just £5 million in the bank, so maybe the club are willing to mud themselves. I mean, this transfer this season, in terms of wages, we were very close to the bottom. £9 million spent this summer. We were up against teams on £52 million. They had 5 times more the wages of us, and we have just outperformed them and out XG'd them. We're a little bit of a Moneyball club here at Bishop Stortford, and speaking of Moneyball, there will be a Moneyball specific video coming out next week. Not only will it be a Moneyball rebuild, I'll also be doing a Moneyball how to play video next week, so if you're interested in Moneyball, that'll be coming up next week. But that's the championship section of the video done. The Premier League, I'm not quite going to do it in the same way of going forward to when we win the Premier League. I'm going to come back when we sort of get into Europe, and then from Europe to getting the Champions League places, and then from getting the Champions League places to winning the league, because they're 3 different steps. First of all, you have to become a sort of mid-table Premier League club. You then have to become a European Premier League club, a Champions League Premier League club, and then the step to winning the league is often very, very difficult. So we're going to be doing that in 3 stages on how to move your club through the Premier League, which again will help you if you're doing a rebuild of a lower club like Bishop Stortford and you've got them to the level, or if you're doing a Wolves rebuild and you're looking to go to the next step. So stick around for the Premier League section of this rebuild as we take Bishop Stortford to Champions League winners. There is still a long way to go, but we're getting closer. We're now in the Premier League. So for our first season in the Premier League, I tried to be rather clever and carry on with the free signings malarkey and hope it was going to stay us up, and it did just about. We come in 17th place, 3 points above the relegation zone on 36 points, but I severely regret doing that because it was very scary as I was simulating to see if we would be relegated, but luckily we managed to stay up. We had a pretty hard run in as well. And we're not great, but luckily a 4-1 win against Cardiff a few games before the end of the season made it just so we stayed up, which was fantastic. I mean, we spent £4.5 million, which is quite literally nothing, and only spent out £1.1 million in sales. As we look through the Premier League as well and look at our stats in team detail, go to the wages at the bottom, we are spending half as much as 19th place Watford, where we're spending £24 million in the Premier League. For example, Manchester City, £308 million in salary. We're spending 24 million. And in terms of our net transfer spend, just £2 million. So, yeah, I definitely tried to be a bit too smart and too clever in the first summer window, which is something to definitely take a note of for anyone, again, doing this sort of save. I didn't take the next step and I probably should have done it. It has built a nice transfer kitty up. We've got £43 million in finances, which is fantastic. If we look at our projection, we are looking to become super mega rich because we're spending nothing on outgoings. Now, our actual wage budget is £127,000 more than we can right now, which is great. We've got £50 million in transfer budget, and we're going to be able to now go ahead and find players from all over the world. Like I said, in terms of staff, my next big thing was to make sure we could go ahead and scout North America and more of Europe and South America, and now we can do that. We have fantastic knowledge in our staffs in South America, great knowledge in North America. Europe is decent, probably to be improved as we go through to the next step, but I wanted to bring you guys back fairly early on, just a seasoning, because a lot of people won't know actually how to find these sorts of scouts where they have good world knowledge, so I'm here to teach you that and show you exactly how you can find scouts with the good world knowledge. So first of all, head to the staff search screen that I've been showing you, staff role into scout, and then world knowledge you can click on and you can at least see who has got good world knowledge. Now, obviously, if you're looking in Europe, you want to set it to a bit of a weirder nation. Now, I sort of always go to Croatia. For some reason, it's just where I seem to find a lot of Wonder Kids from. So some of these people have got good knowledge of Croatia. Now, how you actually see what their knowledge is, if you click on them on the scout knowledge down here, this guy has England, Belgium, Croatia, and Sierra Leone. So he's okay, not the best. Tonio Kelic is exactly what we're looking for. Great knowledge of Croatia, Turkey, and Bosnia. Good knowledge of Albania, Macedonia, Slovenia, Kosovo, and Montenegro. He is great at searching in them areas. Now, he's not the best scout, but that can be improved over time. The world knowledge is often quite difficult to find in a scout. Someone like Liam, probably even better, actually. Great knowledge of Croatia, England, Germany, Ireland, Scotland, Spain, and even Australia. So this guy could be one to send to Elchiona, or someone to send in Europe, because he knows Spain, Germany, England, Croatia. Very good player, a very good scout even, and they're the sort of scouts you're looking for. Now, if I go and scout somewhere in Nigeria, the sort of scout that I would look for in Nigeria would probably be in Africa would probably be Nigeria, is what I was trying to say. Nigeria, luckily, is quite a good one, so you can always set up another one. So you go to scouting again. World knowledge is Nigeria, and at least you can have a little bit of knowledge also in, let's say, Cameroon. No scouts, no Nigeria and Cameroon. If we go to Africa, go Nigeria and Egypt. No scouts know that either. Basically, you're going to try and find someone that's got more than one nation. Umar Abba just knows Nigeria. William Abunde just knows Nigeria. Nwonga just knows Nigeria. Okay, this could be hours of me looking through to try and find someone that doesn't just know about Nigeria, but also knows about somewhere else in Africa, like our scouts do. But yeah, basically, that is how you're going to go ahead and find the best scouts. Now, our staff, again, we have been improving massively, which is great. We have the best defensive coach, attacking coach, mental coach, and technical coach in the Premier League, so pretty much in the world, which is fantastic. That is something that has really helped us this season. The club info is still absolutely shocking. We have 1-star training facilities, 1-star youth facilities, 1.5 silver stars of youth recruitment. The owner, however, is thankfully looking to sell, so hopefully we can get some money in. In terms of players we did bring in this window, there was a few decent players that made a big difference. Someone like Kaluli Dalada, who was released from Chippa United in South Africa, was a free signing, 6.84 average rating, has made 24 caps in 20s, hence why we found him. Again, still using that capped method. 16 composure, 16 first touch, 16 determination. I knew this guy would be good enough. Even if it says he's a League One player, it was obvious he wasn't going to be based on them stats. Someone like Darren Holmes has also been brought in, £4.5 million, an English centre defensive midfielder from Hull. How I found this guy, I'm not 100% sure. Looking back on it right now, probably just found him in my scout report that the staff gave me, because he hasn't played any games for England. He's not no caps for Youth England. Just seems to be a very good player, extremely consistent, great well-rounded stats. £4.5 million, an absolute bargain. Now the next step is going to be quite a difficult step. We've got to take a 17th place side into European football. Also, hopefully going to try and win some FA Cups and some Carabao Cups. It's going to be a long old journey, but looking at the history of Bishop Stortford and how we have done so far, looking at the graph, it looks absolutely beautiful. Obviously, our first season was a half season in the 23-24. We come 16th. Then obviously ended up winning the National League North. Come 10th, come 5th, got rubbed into the playoffs. Come 11th in League 2, come 4th and got up through the playoffs. Come 18th in League 1, come 2nd and automatically promoted. Come 9th, 7th, and 6th in the Championship before getting promoted, and we are now in the Premier League. A very successful rebuild so far, but there is a long way to take it to the next level. So I'm going to bring you guys back when I've secured some European football for Bishop Stortford. And well, it's only taken 3 years of Premier League football, where obviously we come 17th in the first season, 16th in the second season, but because we signed a lot of wonder kids, we have come 6th in this season, and we've done a fantastic season on 58 points, 16 wins, 10 draws, and 12 losses. A positive 11 goal difference and sitting in 6th in the Premier League, which is extremely impressive. I am very happy with how we have gone here. Just 3 seasons in the Premier League and getting into the Europa League, which is brilliant. Now, sadly, in the FA Cup, we've not managed to win anything there just as of yet. And in the Carabao Cup, we were knocked out by QPR in the second round. So that probably tells you how we've been doing there as well. You can see from this graph, we have been a mid-table Premier League club, moving up into 6th for the second half of this season. Have been absolutely fantastic. And one player that is still here and is apparently still just a good Championship striker is OK Shaheen. Now, with his great dribbling, great pace, good finishing and composure, great determination, resolute personality, he scored 19 goals in 35 games. Trust me, this tactic is fantastic, and just signing players with key stats in their position makes a massive difference on FM. Now, another thing that I love about this guy, he's extremely consistent and he loves big matches, so that massively helps. He is a Championship level striker, smashing it in the Premier League and taking us to Premier League, European even football, which is brilliant. Now, the club has gone up massively in recent years. Obviously, we joined around here last time. Parachute payments went down. We carried on getting richer to the point we've now got £82 million in the bank, £65 million to go ahead and spend in terms of transfer budget. And in terms of our sort of spend in terms of our wages, we have kept that on the download still. We are still bottom on this, just £36 million. Looking at 6th place West Ham, where we have just finished, they're spending £229 million on wages. So I think it's safe to say we're absolutely smashing it. In terms of our data hub, we're also doing very well, pretty much above average in absolutely everything. And I have to say, a lot of it is down to this tactic that I have built. It is simply fantastic, and I cannot stress enough how having a good tactic does help indeed. So tactic creators, a massive shout out to them, because they're helping you guys a hell of a lot. And I mean, I have made this tactic. I wouldn't class myself as a tactic creator at all, but this tactic is banging, and like I said, it is going to be out in just 10 days on Josh Daly's channel, but it is on my channel right now. I'm going to very quickly click through everything. For anyone that is at this point in the video, you deserve to be able to download this tactic. I mean, you can't download it, but you can copy it off screen right now as I'm waffling in the background. This has been the tactic for the whole time. There's a lot of tackle harder. It's not the most ambitious tactic in the world in terms of there's not a lot of inverted play or anything. In fact, it's pretty much countering what the rest of the sort of AI will do. The AI play a lot of inverted this season, so we're using width with attacking wing backs and overloading the central areas as well. So a fantastic tactic. You can see all of this as well. Feel free to copy, and like I said, if you got to this point in the video, make sure you're liking it as well and subscribing to the channel. Now, in terms of sort of tips from this point out, I think a lot of you guys know what I've been doing. I've been doing a lot of scouting of the whole entire world. You can see how this has grown over recent years, which is fantastic. The scouting methods we are using is the exact same that I've been showing you the whole time out. I mean, at this point, there's not really a lot for me to tell you other than the fact that we are basically just trying to become the best team we can. I'm no longer doing a lot of free agent business. It's now pretty much just wonder kid signings, picking up players from all over the world. I mean, we've got Colombian players in here. We've got Asian players in here from Busan. We've got a player from Mallorca, St. Gallen, AEK. I mean, this guy is fantastic. And again, apparently is just a League One striker, 17 finishing, I don't believe it. With unbelievable pace, work rate, technique, teamwork, he's not scored loads of goals in this league, but he's 19 years of age, has made 2 caps for Greece, which is probably how I found him in all honesty. But the fact that it's saying this guy's a League One level player is an absolute lie. He is well good enough to be a Europa League level striker, and over the next few years, you're going to see him develop into exactly that. Now, obviously, I need to take this team to the next level and securing Champions League football. So let's go ahead and do that one. We're a few years down the line into 2040. We have come 5th in the Premier League and taken that next step. It has been a long slog. I think it's been 3 seasons since you guys were last here. If we click back on the sort of past winners and go through how it's been a bit of a slog. I mean, yeah, we come 6th in 26, 37, 37, 38, we come 11th, but qualified for the Champions League by winning the Europa League. I'll show you guys that in just a few minutes time. In 38, 39, we come 8th and qualified for the UEFA Conference League. And then this season, coming 5th and qualifying for the Champions League. Back to that Europa League win. We ended up playing against Arsenal when superstar brand new signing Mickey Shenton, who I will show you in just a second, got us underway with a penalty goal before Martinez found Aviel on the left-hand side, and another fantastic signing, an unbelievable left back. I believe he's a left back, scoring the goal there. We were fantastic in this game. Over this whole entire season, we weren't fantastic as we actually look through the league. Like I said, 11th place in this one, -3 goal difference, 46 points. But being our first year in Europe, I don't think it's an awful season. You can see probably the European games hampered us a hell of a lot as we sort of head into sort of October, November. It was a very difficult period, even dropping down into the relegation zone. But we were good enough to get ourselves back up, and a mid-table finish is respectable given the amount of extra games we had to play. We got to the quarterfinals of the Champions and the FA Cup in this one, knocked out by Chelsea, and third rounded in the Carabao Cup by Derby in this season. But as we head back to present day in 2040, we've won the FA Cup and the Europa Conference League in this season. We're in the Conference League. We played against Fenerbahce and it was a 2-1 victory. We even went 1-0 down in this one, which I think shows the growth. Now, a lot of the players you see in this team are the same players that were in the last team that won the Europa League, and that's because I've taken a massive shine in to wonder kids and signing players that are going to be like 18 and turn into superstars, exactly like Mickey Shenton. Now, he is an absolute superstar. He is wearing our number 7 and is one of the best players I've picked up on FM in a very long time. He was signed from Peterborough, and with the stats that we've got right here of 17 dribbling, 16 determination, outrageous pace, I decided £30 million was worth spending on him, and he has proved to be unbelievable. 15 goals last season, 7 goals, 10 assists this season. Fantastic right winger, and we sort of got to the point where I needed to invest in some big players. You saw we come 17th, then 16th, and then we signed Mickey Shenton and started actually spending some money. So we'll go through the sort of transfer business in just a few seconds time, because we've also got to the point where we've had to start selling players as well. But Mickey Shenton, fantastic player, and that was just the Europa Conference League. We also ended up winning the FA Cup, and that was a 3-1 victory against Brighton, where again we went 1 goal down. I think a Ben Woodburn header at the back stick there before Brown finds Mickey Shenton. You're going to see how good this guy is. He's going to go all the way alone and blast one in there to make it 1-1. We're then going to see 2-1 Shenton with the corner, and Herrera at the back stick is not quite going to win it. Going to fall to our other centre back Mackenzie before finding Gomelia, who was an unbelievable signing as our left winger, and the young Greek striker that I showed you just a few sort of minutes ago there to score the penalty in off the bench. A fantastic player to have here at the squad, and as an absolute superstar, Alexis Sartolius, now 17, finishing, £52 million of a value, still loan listed due to an error myself, but 17 stars this season and really becoming a superstar for us. But the transfers are sort of where I want to touch on next, and we have started to spend some serious money. As I head back, we spent 50 million in the last season, well, the season after the last one you saw, then spent 63 million pounds, and that was just complete outgoing them to 115 million pounds of no real outgoings, just net spend, which was pretty rough. So in this season, we decided to cash in on some of our superstars. 179 million pounds was sold for players like Darren Holmes, who I believe we signed for 4.5 million pounds. Federico Trevuzio went off to Al Ali. We signed him for 10.5 million pounds, sold him for 58. And again, when you're building a club, sometimes you have to sell your superstars for some serious profit. Geronimo Aviele, £6 million, sold him for £38 million. Alexandro Perez to Manchester United, signed for £5 million, sold for £27 million. All just unbelievable profit, and I think we've done a very, very good job of that. Now, we obviously spent £115 million in that window, and that's the window, I believe, just gone. So £4 million just spent, £57 million again on the outgoings, and again, Jorge Luis Reynoso was signed for $775k from Colombia. Very good here for 4 seasons. See you later for $32 million to Al Hilal. So finances wise, we've actually done very well in building a big old kitty of money. For this next season, we've got £120 million to go ahead and spend, which is going to be a very, very key season, because I think this season we can actually take this squad from sort of being the Premier League 5th place squad and qualifying for the Champions League to winning both in one season. And I think that's because of William Bayliss as well. Now, when signing this guy, I was very, very convinced he was going to be an absolute superstar. He was at Wolves, where he was not scoring many goals. He'd been on loan at St. Gallen, where he was not scoring many goals, but I signed him and believed in him, and because his stats are fantastic. Great pace, great finishing, great composure, flair off the ball. Apparently just a decent Premier League striker, but again, I don't know if that's a bug in this save, because this guy is lights out good. He looks absolutely fantastic, and I signed him alongside Jordi Gamilia because as much as I was confident in Will Bayliss, I knew this guy could be our superstar left winger, Mickey Shenton on the right wing, and William Bayliss up top. And this guy's got fantastic finishing, fantastic pace, and great determination. And the reason I signed this guy and I locked him in to left wing for the last 2 seasons rather than him taking that up front role is because I believe William Bayliss is good enough to be there. I just think he needs someone that can also finish on the left wing next to him, and that's exactly what this guy's been since coming in. He's been fantastic from Osasuna. So buzzing with how the team is looking. I think we are really progressing now as a club. We are actually a Champions League club. I've not even mentioned our new superstar Cam and Steven Berbesi. This guy's a Colombian Cam. Great dribbling, great flair, great technique, great pace. I've sacked off everything I spoke about recently in terms of being cheap. We've got on to Wonder Kid season. This guy moved off to Saudi Arabia a few years ago. We signed him for 31 million this summer. He got a 7.33 average rating in the Premier League in his first season. So absolutely outrageous. We've now got to take it to the next step. So much money to spend. Can we do it in just one season? Well, of course, we spent the money that was available because we needed to take this Northwood side to the next level. So we signed a Norwegian for Liverpool for £65 million, who looks absolutely unbelievable. We've got a few players in here for 20 million, sold a few here and there, but overall spent around 110 million in this window, which was very, very good. I mean, last season we were absolutely fantastic. Obviously lifting the Europa Conference League and also lifting the FA Cup. Or this season, Mickey Shenton decided that the FA Cup last year was not going to be the only FA Cup he was going to get in a Bishop Stortford shirt. He put us 1-0 up before Everton got us to 1-1. But Mickey Shenton, I've been talking about this man for 3 or 4 years now. He is an absolute superstar. Larjan Vaja finds Shenton in the box and he bags it home to make it 2-1. In this game, we were absolutely fantastic again. Everton, to be fair, probably slightly better than us. They ended up coming 5th place in the Premier League this season and were absolutely brilliant. But we were very, very good as well. And obviously, we were in the Champions League this season for one of the first times. I think it's the second time we've been in the Champions League after we ended up winning the Europa League. And we were actually lucky enough to take Bayern Munich all the way to penalties in a Champions League final. And Callas missed the first penalty for us. They scored, but Padavoni is going to have his name up in lights. Shenton scores from the spot, of course. Mayo for Bayern Munich bags it home, and the game is all tied up, I believe, at 2-2. Taylor bags one home for them, and from here, Padavoni is going to turn in to Lilakovic for Croatia from the World Cup. Bayliss, the striker, bags it home, and Padavoni saves the next one. And Bishop Stortford are FA Cup and Champions League winners in season number 18. And look at this game against Bayern Munich, right? An absolute demon of a club, and we have pushed them all the way to the limit. 0-0 in the game. Stats are pretty much dead even. 2 XG for them, 1.9 XG for us, 1.98 XG for us. It's so tight for the whole game. We had 2 clear chances, they had none, but we lifted the Champions League, and in the Premier League we completed the treble in 2041 to make Bishop Stortford Premier League winners, FA Cup winners, and Champions League winners. And we've taken a club that are the worst team in England to the best club in the world in 18 years. And I think the only way you can properly represent what we have done here, and if you look at what Bishop Stortford were in 2019, 2020, 17th in the Isthmian League, we have had a meteoric rise in the Premier League to where we are now. Last season finishing in 5th, this season winning the league. We won the Champions League, the Premier League, the Europa League, 2 FA Cups, a UEFA Conference League, and other than that, a Vanarama National League North. We never won the National League. We got promoted to the National League via 5th in the playoffs, in League 2, 4th, and in the playoffs in League 1, automatic promotion, but coming 2nd. In the Championship, 6th, and in the playoffs, and then when we went into the Premier League, we were actually fantastic. The only major trophy we never ticked off was the Carabao Cup, so I guess there's a bit of a failure on my part, but an unbelievable journey in which, of course, we have become a club legend with Phil Hopkins, Terry Moore, and Graham Arger. There is no players here other than Stephen Budabesi, who is the Colombian central attack midfielder, who this season, in the treble-winning season, got 21 goals and 8 assists. Max McKenzie was a centre-back, and he's been here for a long old time, 10 years, actually, Max McKenzie, from the Championship to here now. Pretty crazy that it's taken us 10 years to get that sort of gap up there. But he is here and he is an absolute club icon, a favoured person now even. Darren Holmes, who I believe we sold to Al Nassr, we did indeed for 38 million. He is known as a club icon. Jack Giddens, I don't think it's anything to do with us. He is not. Jamie Curran and Dwight Gale, and obviously us as the legend Kempi XI. That is quite a nice thing to finish this up on. I mean, you can see here the club we were dealing with was very, very difficult. 1.5-star youth facilities, 2.5-star training facilities, 3-star youth recruitment. I even think literally I've been going for this a ridiculous amount to try and get the board to improve everything, but they are just not having it. It is absolutely impossible. Of course, the board is an A+. They absolutely love us. We've got £175 million in the bank. Absolutely no debt, and we have built Bishop Stortford from the worst team in England to the best club in the world. If you enjoyed this very long rebuild but very fun rebuild, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel because there's so many videos over here. And if you've not seen the Manchester United rebuild, which is down there, it's an absolute banger. And coming up next week is a Moneyball rebuild with FC Porto, so make sure to keep your eyes peeled for that one. In January 2024, I took on what I thought was the hardest challenge on Football Manager, taking a non-league side in England to Champions League winners, and I did that with Bishop Stortford, but today I'm taking it one step further. We are off to Scotland and to Fort William, a place I recently visited and fell in love with, and we are taking a 6th tier Scottish side who are a semi-professional side to European winners and winners of Scotland. We're going to be doing this using Scottish-only signings as well. We are making this the ultimate Football Manager rebuild, so grab yourself some popcorn because this is going to take a long time. Now, I've got 3 simple rules for this rebuild. Number 1 is that we are only allowed to sign players from the UK, and until we get to the top flight of Scotland, I'm going to lock it to only Scottish, which is going to be absolutely incredible. Also very, very difficult. Number 2 is that we have to win a European competition. And number 3, we have to topple Celtic and Rangers and become champions of Scotland. Now, Fort William are simply one of the worst clubs in Scotland. In fact, they actually were media marketed as the worst club in the UK just 2 seasons ago, where they lost like 18 games in a row. Here on Football Manager, they have a half-star reputation, half-star training facilities, half-star youth facilities, and a 1 silver-star youth recruitment. Money isn't great. There's 10 grand in the bank, but that's probably going to deplete very quickly as we sort of look at the projection of the club. It's only going down. There is not a lot of money coming in, believe it or not, in the 6th tier of Scotland. And in terms of the development centre, well, there's not even a reserve or under-19s team. So this is the squad we have got. Our star man to kick things off is Martin Monroe. He has got 13 acceleration, 11 pace, and 14 flair. So he's basically the Messi of the Scottish low leagues. And then we've got our true centre-back, Darren Quigg, 36, slow, but he's determined. And he's got 14 tackling, which is absolutely incredible. And finally, our midfield maestro in Eliandro Sokwe, who's got great determination, decent physicals, and honestly, for this level, pretty good technicals. I mean, he's got 13 passing, so at least we've got someone that can hopefully find our strikers over the top. And well, speaking of our strikers over the top, I've got to make some signings, so we've actually got a little bit of a chance this season. We're only playing a 4-4-2. As you can see, we're playing our Stoke 4-4-2. So if you enjoyed that rebuild, you'll enjoy this one because we're playing very similar football, but not signing only 6-foot players. We've got Zach Queen, who is our poacher up front. 13 finishing. He has got 3 composure, so when he gets there, he'll get a little bit worried, but that's fine. For now, he's our guy with Dom Kavanagh up front, who is a little bit more composed at 7, but also 13 finishing and some decent speed. Now, I'm not going to go through every single signing in this rebuild. The team is going to change a hell of a lot over the next 20 years, but I will be coming back every single season to let you guys know how it's going and see as we're progressing as a club. I mean, it's going to be difficult. We've got no money, so I'm not sure if we're ever going to be able to really improve Fort William into a top side, but you never know. Hopefully, it's going to be possible. For now, let's get into season 1. We are in the North Caledonian League. We are predicted to come 5th, and the holders of the league is Loch Ness. So, yeah, we've got to try and avoid Nessie at some point. And well, this season, it was us that was the monster of Scotland because we absolutely dominated the North Caledonian League. Our 4-4-2 fast, free-flowing football was exactly what we needed. And when Zach Queen gets in the ball, he hasn't got the composure, but he can certainly finish. Him and Dom Kavanagh up front were absolutely incredible. We destroyed this random Scottish team 6-0 here today to kick off the season, which, I mean, bodes pretty well for how things are going to go for the rest of it. Queen again finds Hay down this right-hand side, who sticks it into the back of the net for 5-0 in the 60th minute, and our 6th goal came in the 60th minute as well. Long ball up to the front 2, knocks it down. We grab the goal, and Fort William are on top form. And that top form, of course, led us to winning the title as well. 57 points, miles clear of St. Doofus. I mean, is that even a name? That's absolutely incredible. I love Scotland. I mean, Editor Jack, if you can, edit a photo of Fort William Stadium right now because they literally play in front of mountains. Like Ben Nevis, I'm pretty sure, is in the background. It might not actually be Ben Nevis, but mountains all around like that are just around the football pitches, and it's incredible. Scotland is amazing. I actually went to Scotland to watch a Fort William game, and it got postponed the day before because they were playing against Orkney, who is an island at the top of the Scotland, and they had to meet halfway to play a game at a random school. That's the level we're managing at right now, and we've turned them into an absolute force. And we're going straight up to Division 5. And given the fact we have got promotion, we have improved the team a lot, but you cannot buy partnerships. Zach Queen and Dom Kavanagh are staying as our front 2 because they love each other. They're having a great time, a good partnership up there, and both of them got 20+ goals last season, so they've got to stay in the team. And you're probably wondering how I'm looking to sign all these players. I am simply going to the scouting market. I am signing anyone on a trial that is Scottish, and their contract has expired. As you can tell, we know a lot about everyone at this point. If you want a little tip on how to do this, simply head to your scouting. If you don't want to do just Scottish, do whatever nation you want. I go by world rating. I simply click on around 50 players, transfer, off them a trial, 2 weeks. If we go forward just 1 day, just to show you exactly how this actually works in the match engine, we'll go forward a few hours so they all sign into the club, which they now have. We'll go to the squad. We'll sort this by ability. I mean, I've tried to get all these players. Trust me, they don't want to join or they'll go to someone else. I've been doing this. This rebuild has taken me 3 weeks to make. That's how long this has taken. But you literally just now, you know, all these players without scouting them at all, that they're going to be semi-decent. Obviously, we don't know his stats yet, so I'll probably simulate a week, but I'll go down to say Blair Snedden and below isn't going to be good enough. I will simply terminate all of their trials, go back to the scouting players, and we go again. Now down again, bang, transfer off a trial. Because we're at such a low level, we only know of 240 footballers in the world. That's how low we are talking right now. So literally anyone that can kick a football is going to get into the side. But that's how you scout players in the lower leagues. And if you didn't know that, well, that's a fantastic tip. Now, well, that transfer method helped us massively this season because it meant we were able to stay in the league. We come in 12th in season number 2, our first in Division 5, which is where Fort William were actually slandered for being the worst team in the UK. So fair enough, we've done it. We've overtaken Loch Ness. Nessie's going down to Div 6 again. See you later, Nessie. We've got teams near like Elgin City, Clachnudin, Nairn County, Lochie United, Banks OD, Berwick have just won the league. Breckin, East Kilbride. It's hilarious. This database is absolutely fantastic as well. And if you do want to download this database, just if you go on FM Scout and try and find the Scotland lower tiers, there's like a 10 tier one, which is absolutely fantastic. That is what I am using here today. I'll try to put a link in the description down below. The front two got on very well again with old dog Queen and Kavanagh both scoring 14 and 13 goals. That is pretty much our goal out at this point. Munro, who was our star player by quite some distance at the start, is now 31 and not very good for us at all. So thank you, Martin Munro. I believe you're actually a Fort William player in real life. I hope so anyway, because the database I downloaded said it'll be all realistic. So Martin Munro, thank you very much. You've got us promoted, but now, ta-ra, it's time to improve and get out of Division 5 straight up to Div 4 if possible. And we're again a huge influx of signings coming into the club and a huge influx of improvement as well. In fact, even our front two have been changed. Both Dob and Zach Queen are now backups to the club, but we have got Kieran Driver up front, who is more determined, very slow, but he's fairly decent, and Andrew Kyle, who looked absolutely fantastic. Got 12 acceleration, decent finishing, jumping reach, 13 finishing, and 13 flair. And overall, the team as a whole has improved massively. It has taken a long time to build this team to the point where we're now actually predicted to finish in 6th place in the league. And we have actually already started the league, and we've got 2 wins from 2, which is beautiful, with a 3-0 win and a 4-0 win. So hopefully things are looking good. And interestingly enough as well, this is our first signing from Celtic. So Andrew Carl was released from there. He actually played 2 games for Celtic B, 5 there, 3 there, but he's now in the Highland League where he's got 3 goals in his first 2 games. We might have found an absolute gem. Yes, we did. He scored 32 goals in 32 games. Overall bagged 40 goals and got 7 assists. And he's officially a good Cinch League 2 player, which is the league above. But sadly, it wasn't enough to help us get promoted, even though we had the top goal scorer by 9 goals. Overall, the team just wasn't quite there. Fort Martin are getting promoted, which means we've got another season in the 5th tier. As I've said, this is not going to be easy. We are making restrictions like only signing Scottish players, or at least partially Scottish players. I actually don't think there's a single English player in the team anymore. It is fully Scottish, which just makes it more fun, makes it more interesting. And it is a real challenge. I implore you guys to try a save like this because it's great. And you can sign yourself someone like Andrew Kyle, who grabs 4 times as many goals as anyone else. It is literally just get the ball in the line to Mahamadou Sambu, who's got semi-decent pace, semi-decent crossing. He's very consistent, and whip it in to Big Andrew in the middle, who's going to score goals. He's 6'3". He's not exactly that slow, to be honest, and he's got great finishing. So that is the tactic as things stand. Get it into Big Andrew. And season 4 was about adding to Andrew Carl and giving him a striker like Mark Ferry and some more wingers to get the balls in. And it's safe to say that worked pretty well, as we went on some ridiculous winning streaks and scored a simply ridiculous amount of goals. Overall, 78 goals to be exact, and that helped us gain promotion to the league above. 67 points, level on points with Fort Martin, but we came top. And the interesting thing here is we had to actually face up against Celtic B in a Highland versus Lowland promotion final, which was mental. So basically you have the Highlands of Scotland and the Lowlands of Scotland, and to get up into Cinch League 2, because there's so little space in Cinch League 2, League 1, the Premiership and the Championship, or Championship and Premiership, and because there's only like 40 teams in that, not everyone can go up. So even if you win this league, you have to then win a playoff. And luckily we did that with a 4-3 aggregate victory over Celtic B. Which means the money was going to be pouring in, right? Because we're £119,000 in debt. And to get us up to this level has been very difficult. Our wage budget is now £800 a week. It was 400 quid, which even when compared to the 5th tier, was ridiculously low. We are on 5 times less money than Brora Rangers on 104k, and Brora Rangers finished down in 12th place. So we are working a miracle on a tiny budget, and it's through signing players like Andrew Carl. Another ridiculous season overall for Fort William, 67 goals in 68 games. He's a leading striker for the league above, which is very exciting. His contract has actually ran out, and we are trying to get him to agree to another. We need to improve the squad to make that an actual thing. And well, that's because we've run into an issue. As we've got promoted into Cinch League 2, all of our players have left. and our wage budget is £800, and we are spending 400, and we have 3 players. So staying in Cinch League 2 is going to be very difficult. As things stand, we have a £399 wage budget, double what we're currently spending to bring in around 15 players, and we're spending that on 3. I'm not sure if it's a bug in the database that I've got of when you get promoted from the 5th tier to the official leagues that are in the game. But this now makes this challenge a hell of a lot harder, because all the progress we've made is about to be ripped up because we haven't got any money, and as things stand, we have 3 actual players. And well, even by the 6th of July, we now only have 4 players, but Andrew Carr was signing an actual new contract on less money, which is great. But 4 players is going to be a real struggle. So if you are currently enjoying the story of this rebuild, make sure you are subscribing to the channel, because there is going to be some incredible rebuilds coming out over the next few months, and you do not want to miss them. Just because FM25 has stopped does not mean I've stopped. So make sure you subscribe to the channel, and of course, if you are enjoying it, like the goddamn video. And well, eventually we got kind of a squad. And this is literally as much as I can get. Our transfer budget is spent. We have £31 left in the wage budget. The finances are ropey. My current plans are to pray that we stay up this season, which should give us some competition funds to actually then go for it next season and stay up. We're actually not the worst team in this league. I don't know if it's an issue just in Cinch League 2 where the quality of players is absolutely horrendous, but even though the fact we've got like 10 actual players, I mean, is it actually 10? It's 13. We've got 13 players. We have got a striker, and we've got Harry Potter's long lost brother Fergus up front, who is a decent Highland Low League player where we just come from, and we're now gone up a division, and we need him to be good. This is simply pray we don't get relegated, and hopefully we're going to be okay. The only good thing is that if you do come bottom of Cinch League 2, you go into a playoff against the Highland Low Leagues, and then they play against each other, or something happens where eventually everyone plays, and you don't actually have to get relegated if you come last, which is very odd. I've got a feeling this could be a very difficult season, though. And well, yeah, the predictions were lying. We are not the 5th best team. We are absolutely awful, in fact. To the point where we are in them relegation playoffs, but we are facing up against our old friends Celtic B, who do go 1-up in the 11th minute, but in the 95th in the first leg, our good man, Andrew Kyle, wins a header to give us a chance taking the game back to Claggin Park. Where I'll be honest, things weren't pretty. We went all the way to extra time. We went 1-0 down thanks to Shalpuka, but Harry Potter's magic brother Fergus scored and took us to penalties, which eventually we ended up winning. We won it 3-2 in the end, and we got peppered all game. We do not deserve to be in Cinch League 2 in the slightest. We got absolutely battered in the league, 10 points below Brescian. We had 2 strikers though, which no one's put the ball in the back of the net, and that helped us a lot. Andrew Carl and Fergus Potter were only 3 goals behind the top goal scorer in the entire division, who was Josh Hines, who was got promoted with Forfar. So without Andy Carr and Harry Potter's magical little brother Fergus, we'd be absolutely ruined. But the good news is our staying up has saved our financial situation. We now have 52 grand in the bank, and in terms of our budget, £2,800 in wage budget, which doesn't really seem a lot, does it? But it is a lot at this level, and 16k in transfer budget as well. So finally, we're going to be able to actually improve this team. I don't know what we would have done without these two. Without them, we scored a grand total of 11 goals all season. So these two, I think they're going to be staying around. And they are indeed staying around. And we've actually got somewhat of a squad this season, which is a massive, massive dub. We've got a great goalkeeper, a shocking defence, a decent midfield, and of course Big Fergus and Kyle up front. If Big Fergus doesn't do it this season, because he is only 1.5 star rated, we've got Nicky Reed up front, who to kick off the season has got 5 goals in 6 games and is extremely consistent. Good pace, good finishing, good composure for this level as well, which is fantastic. So all things considered, we've definitely improved, and that massively showed because we come 8th in the table in season number 6 before just about staying alive in season number 7. are much more difficult this season. And that's because for some reason, Andrew Cole forgot how to score goals. Only 15 in 42. Last season, it was 26. So we need to get Andrew back, please. And well, that is exactly what happened. And we are now in the Cinch League 1/League 2 playoff relegation battle against Dumbarton. In the first leg, we actually lost 2-1 at Clagham Park. So going away from home, we needs to get a good result. And we did go 1-0 up, but conceded pretty quickly. So we were back down. But big man Andrew Cole stepped from the spot to take us to extra time, where we score a fantastic corner routine. I say that, it was a little bit lucky. A good challenge from McCarver, when it's well finished in by Hennon, who makes it 3-1, I believe, at this point. And McCarver gets down the right-hand side to put the game to bed to make it 4-1, thanks to a goal from McNamara. And now you might be thinking we're up to League One. Not just yet, because there is actually the final. That was only the semis. And for the final, we're up against Spartans. Not the Harlem Spartans, the Scottish Spartans. And we are going to go 1-0 up. But that is our only goal in the first round, the first leg, sorry, of this two-legged affair, as we end up getting a little bit battered away from home, as Cairns makes it 1-1, a free kick from Adams makes it 2-1, and Spartans grabbed a very big lead after going 3-1 up, meaning we had to go back to Clagham Park and get a Scottish miracle. And we were going to try our hearts out, because this means everything. The money we get from going up to League One is absolutely huge. So we scored to make it just a 1-goal deficit, and we scored just 5 minutes later to get us tied, thanks to a goal from Watson from the edge of the box. But we gave away a penalty just after half time before scoring 60 seconds later to tie the game up and send us to the dreaded penalties, where we won. The Spartans absolutely bottled it. We won 4-2. We scored every penalty. They missed 2 out of 4 penalties, which is awful. And somehow, the mighty Fort William this season, after coming 10th last year, are getting promoted. Now, we finished this season in 3rd place on 57 points, miles behind Peterhead on 74, around 15 points behind, well, more than that, 17 points behind. So this is going to be a very, very difficult year. We battered Dumbarton, only got 6 points above us, and obviously the League One team getting promoted. We battered them as well, which means we are going up. But again, more struggles are on the way. Financially, we're okay. As mentioned, we got a massive influx of money for getting promoted. We're now to 135k, which is, I think, the most we've ever had at this point, which is unbelievable. We've actually got money to spend. We've actually got a transfer budget of 21,000, which I'm not going to be spending. We've got 2.5k in wage budget. We don't really need to be spending money at this point. We just need to keep bringing them free agents. And I might as well go through the team a little bit, because things have changed a hell of a lot. I mean, just to quickly mention, in case anyone doesn't believe, we're doing this Scottish players only. Here you go. Every single player is Scottish, which is fantastic. As mentioned, when we get up to the top flight of Scotland, we might change that so we get to play with English, Northern Irish, Welsh players as well. But for now, we are just going as Scottish only. Yeah, this is the team. We've got Cummings and Kyle up front. Kyle is just him. He's an absolute joke. I love him. And Dan Cummins is a fantastic striker next to him as well. Great finishing and composure for this level, and decent speed. So he has been a massively influential player, scoring 29 goals this season, just 4 less than Mr. Cole himself. Watson on the left wing has been great. Big Dean with Mamadou Sambu on the right, still here from 3 seasons ago. He has been a massive part of this promotion run. Frankie Dean is in DM with Harry Henham, who scored in one of them games. A very well-rounded midfielder with Matt Henderson at right back, Jamie Carnahan at right back, and Henderson at left back, with Buchan at centre back, with Ewan and Glavin in goal. The defence and goalkeeper are shocking, I'll be completely honest. They need to be improved massively. And now we've got this actual bit of wage budget and some actual potential money in the bank. Hopefully we can do that. Again, though, all I am doing every single season is going here, making sure we've got someone we can actually scout, head to expired players, and just get everyone on trial. If you want another little tip, the other thing I would like to do is to give you an international youth appearance. Now, contracts haven't actually run out yet. They run out in 7 days' time. But setting it so there's one youth appearance, you might get an absolute hidden gem come out that you wouldn't normally find. So that's another good little tip for finding players on free agents. Number 1, trial everyone. If you need to trial less players, trial players with at least 1 youth appearance to see if any little hidden gems come out. Because we are doing this as Scottish, but they can be partially Scottish. Scottish. So someone here like Vanslav Kakamov, who's playing for Cove Rangers, he's not good enough. I know that already, but he is actually Bulgarian and played 3 games in the Bulgarian youth team. So he's someone that we could potentially sign. So certainly another thing to check out for. Well, let's go. We're into the 3rd tier of Scotland. Now we are halfway through getting our leagues up. And would you look at that? After a massive summer of improvements, Andrew Carr was actually now one of our worst players, which is absolutely shocking. He is certainly staying here because he is him, even if he has dropped a 6.59, and all the goals have come from Dan Cummings up front. What we have done is massively improved the defensive vote and brought in a fantastic goalkeeper in Metcalf. The midfield 4 is now nice and strong. We have 2 very quick, decent wingers in Curtis and McGinley as well. And we did break the bank. We used every single penny we could financially, but things are looking okay when it comes to the transfer budget and our overall bank balance. We're not completely mud in the club like we were when we were in the Lowland Leagues. And interestingly enough, when we actually compare our wage now in Cinch League 1, we are in the top 4, so there was definitely a disparity in going from the Lowland Leagues to Cinch League 2 with the wages we were allowed, which is why we struggled so much. So very good to see that we are actually now back in sort of touch with where we should be and offering the wages we should be for our players. Hopefully, though, we can keep that on the low side. We don't want to be at the top of this and not get promoted. If we get promoted, we can be in the top. But for now, we're actually predicted to come in 9th place, and we are one of the people with the most money. So that's not great. Hopefully, though, we overachieve this massively and have a fantastic season. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't great. It wasn't a great season at all. There is a lot more losses on there than I would like. But it was just enough to stay safe. And even though it was a 2-star current ability player, Andrew Kyle comes in clutch again and grabs 26 goals in 40 games. I've got no idea why this guy is performing so well. We're in Cinch League 1. He is a decent Cinch League 2 player, and he's absolutely carrying. Big Andrew, respect to you, mate, because you're an absolute legend. Cummings up front grabbed 19 goals. Our midfield didn't grab a single goal, which is good to see. So, yeah, we've got 2 strikers. We're getting the ball into them, and that is pretty much the game plan at the moment. And to be honest, it's not changing. The 4-4-2 is going absolutely nowhere. The only thing that has changed is the front 2. We are now in regen territory. We are 10 seasons into this rebuild, now halfway through. Let me know in the comments down below, how many seasons do you think it's going to take for us to win a European competition and win the Scottish Premiership? Obviously, this is season 10. We're effectively halfway through what we need to get to. Are we halfway through in seasons, or is it going to take us longer because we have got to win a European competition as well? We shall see. Now we have got Finley Pollock on the right and Aidan McGinley on the left, but the front 2 are new and improved. We have Craig Hornby, which is all about speed, and we've got Martin, who's all about finishing. 13 finishing, 12 composure. Unbelievable for this level, which is good to see. We've got Calder at right back. Defense is shocking. Honestly, defenders are not spawning from anywhere. Just attackers at this point, which makes it difficult, especially given the restrictions of just signing Scottish players only. At the moment, it is proving very, very difficult. We are currently, obviously, in Cinch League 1 in 7th place. Having played a game, we lost it 1-0 to East Kilbride. We are predicted this season to struggle, but not be the worst team. Clyde are worse than us. So hopefully we can stay up. And what we did, we hung on by the skin of our teeth in season number 10. But you join me here on season 11 because things have improved massively already. We are now a mid-table just outside the playoffs Cinch League 1 team, and it was all due to one man, Paul Morrison, a brand new striker. Again, of course, as I said, the team transitions a lot. This guy is a demon. He is 5'11". He places his shots with 15 finishing and 12 composure, which is brilliant, and outrageous physical stats at this level. He likes big matches, and he just grabbed 35 goals in 42 games. The 4-4-2 is cooking. We've got Gyat on the right wing, which is fantastic. He is incredibly quick. Dobby, we had Potter earlier. We've now got Dobby on the left wing, and Morrison and Hornby up front doing their thing. The defence is slightly improved, but still we're taking some time to improve that. But that's season 10 and 11 zoomed through, and things are looking good. We are on the up, other than financially. This is where things are going to get difficult because our wage budget isn't exactly going down, but the board are now starting to pin their hopes on the fact that we'll actually get promoted. And the fact this season was a mid-table and that's what we've done. I mean, to be fair, I say that. They just want us to finish mid-table. But if you want to do that, lads, we'll just go broke and go back down to the Highland Leagues again, which no one wants. We all want to see Fort William win the Scottish Premiership. So I can't let that happen. To fix this financial situation, we've got to go broke this year. We've got to put absolutely everything into it so we get up at least into the Championship variation of Scotland. So that is exactly what we have done. There is not a stone unturned and not a player that has grown up at some point in Scotland that we have not trialled and that we do not know about, and we have now massively improved this team. The defence is actually pretty decent. I mean, as ball-playing defenders are not great, but as central defenders, we've actually got players that can do stuff. Fullbacks are decent, midfield is strong, and 2 strikers up front. Obviously, Morrison stays up front because he's absolutely crazy. But now we've got Barry Duffy next to him as well. And this guy's even better. 15 finishing, 16 composure, good physical stats. And honestly, all I've been doing to find these players every single season, season in, season out, is just in getting our scouting range to at least Scotland, if we can afford it, UK and Ireland, just literally getting everyone in on trial that we possibly can. I mean, all these 2,500 players have probably been trialled at some point. I mean, you can see there's some that we know about, some that we don't, that they just weren't good enough and we released them quickly. I mean, someone like Adam Lewis, who is fairly decent, I mean, he's not actually going to come into the squad, I don't think. He's a 3-star player, he's a decent midfielder, but doesn't really suit our system. We have been going for absolutely everyone possible. I mean, this has been ridiculous, the amount of players that come on trial. And you can see some of them are still here. It is just ridiculous. You have to spend so much time trialing players, but if you do it, it can be so rewarding. And we can actually build a very, very strong side. And now I think we can compete for the league. And we can do more than that. We can absolutely blow out this league. We have had an unbelievable season, an unprecedented season, to the point where now Fort William are not in the Cinch League One. We got 78 points. We had the 2 top goal scorers, including a brand new player I've not touched on just yet, and the most goal difference by quite some distance. We were absolutely fantastic. And the step up from this is now the Championship of Scotland. And there's teams in here we all actually know. Falkirk, Livingston, Hamilton, some pretty big, decent clubs we are now going to be facing up against. We have made Fort William a much better club. And of course, the signing I want about that we haven't spoken about is Ian Mears. He was one of my last minute signings from doing all the trialing. He is a fantastic striker. I mean, I say that, he's not actually as good as the other 2 in terms of stats. In the match engine, apparently he's crazy. He's consistent in nice big matches, which helps a lot. He's also 6'4" and got 13 pace. We've got our Scottish own Haaland, which is absolutely fantastic. And you might be wondering why we're not going for like loads of young players and trying to bring players up through the academy. Well, that's because even now, in season number 12, we don't have a youth team or a B team. I've been asking every single season. Due to the absolute dire financial constraints we find ourselves in, that hasn't been possible. And that means that improving the youth facilities and training facilities also hasn't been possible. So me to bring in a 16-year-old with 5-star potential is completely pointless unless they're going to play games, because we cannot develop them. We have got a park as our facilities. We literally play on the top of Ben Nevis at this point for our facilities. They are that bad. We are just, scraping by and getting up the leagues by just signing players which are mid-20s to high 20s and just winning games. That is currently the process. I am not interested in developing wonder kids left, right and centre. Like normally, this is purely about signing the best players available in every position. And also this season, we tweaked the tactic. We moved from the 4-4-2 to a 4-2-4 to go more attacking, more aggressive, bring them wingers up, drop them midfielders back, pump it long to the quick wingers, get it into the front 2, and it worked an absolute treat. So financially this season we've got an extra 4.5k in wage budget, which is massive because the teams above are spending quite a bit more money than us. Falkirk, 2.5 million salary per annum, whereas us on the other hand are on just a measly 300,000. So again, we are competing well above our weight. But that is what we do here at Fort William. We upset the odds. Which is why for season 13, I wasn't surprised at all to see us predicted to come bottom of the league. We have been underdogs the whole way through this journey, and that doesn't stop here. We're going to be underdogs till the very And we are never going to be the big boys in the league, but we are going to have a story to come out of it. As we look at the team now, there has been some improvements. We've got Cameron and Wright in DM, who currently are both learning the position. They will get there eventually. They're great for it. McMillan and Slater on the wings, of Morrison and Duffy keeping it up front. The defence, again, is pretty difficult to come by. Good defence, and the goalkeeper is fairly average, to be honest, but we are predicted to come last. It's not going to happen. We are going to continue to upset the odds, and the good thing is financially now we're actually promoted to a better division. Again, we've got money in the bank. We've had seasons where we've been £300,000 in debt. Hopefully that is no more. As our projection, it looks pretty bleak, but we are going to hopefully grow up the leagues and hopefully get some decent players, which means eventually we can sell them for money, and financially it's not going to be an issue. We're now at a point where I'm pretty comfortable that we are going to be okay. We are not going to go broke just yet, but we do need to survive this season, because if we get relegated, then yeah, we might go broke. And well, to be honest, I was expecting to hang on for our lives, finish in 9th place and win the playoffs. That's not happened. We were actually pretty decent. We were 3 points above that playoff spot and miles better than Cove Rangers, who came in 10th. We finished in 7th place, which obviously is nowhere near getting promoted to the Cinch Premier League. Good Lord, do I not want that just yet? We are a long way away from having a squad even a tiny bit capable of competing there. I mean, financially, there's just no way. We are on £450,000 per annum. Well, the top league minimum is 4 million, and the top of it at Celtic is 60 million. We're going to have to improve our financial situation a fair bit, because Celtic are like 120 times better off financially per annum than us. I mean, they spend that anyway. Yeah, so we're going to be up against it. When we get to that league, it's not going to be, you know, we plug ourselves in and we slowly get up. Celtic's team is crazy good. I mean, they're a 3.5-star reputation. Brendan Rodgers is still here. Their captain is Angelo, is worth 23 million and is absolutely ridiculous. So don't think that when we get to the top division it's going to be hunky-dory, because it's not. We're in season 13, but the hardest bit of this rebuild is yet to come. But what have I said about us being the underdogs? This season we made the playoffs to go up to the Cinch Premiership. Now, I'm not sure if this is a good thing or not, but I'll certainly take it if it happens. Now, we beat Ross County 1-0 in the first leg before losing 4-3 in the second leg, but winning on penalties thanks to them just missing more. We've been fantastic from penalties in this rebuild so far, so we are going to the final where we are facing up against a Cinch Premiership club. Now, it was Motherwell who were playing today, a absolutely massive club, but at least in comparison to Fort William. We are playing at Claggin Park, and half our stadium doesn't even have a stand. There's just simply a burger van. It is literally non-league football, about to potentially go up to the top tier of Scotland as we do win this game 3-1. And all we have to do is defend at home away. So conceding just 2 minutes in wasn't quite part of the plan, but it's the beauty of things here. We are going to make things difficult for ourselves. Well, at least that's what I thought, because literally 4 minutes in, just 3 minutes after conceding that first goal, we do make the game 1-1, and we eventually go 2-1 up. I say eventually. It was a click of a finger. It was 30 seconds as another build-up down this right-hand side from McMullen finds Morrison in the box for a 2-1 lead in this game. We are going to be pegged back by Motherwell. We're going to score again thanks to a ball in from Dibbling. I hope it's not Tyler Dibbling. Christ, he's a bit good for this level. Who scores in the top corner to make it 3-2 on the day. Well, 2-2 on the day, sorry, but still ahead for us. And they're going to score again to go ahead on the day, but it doesn't matter. We are way too good. We are the upsetting kings. We are just him/them. We are unbelievable. Morrison scores to make it a 2-goal advantage, and he scores again from the spot to make it a 3-goal advantage. 4-3 on this day, 3-1 on the other day, 7-4 on aggregate, and Fort William, we're going to the Premier League. The Scottish Premier League, to be exact. We're not going to England to play. We're staying in Scotland. Crikey, if we were to win the Premier League, I don't know what would happen, because that would be, I mean, impossible for one. It's just not going to happen, is it? Celtic and Rangers can't get there. We're not going to get there either. So we have finished in 4th on 50 points, miles behind Kilmarnock, who have won the league, but we've done it on the days. We've done it in the playoffs to eventually get promoted. And we are now going to be up against the likes of Celtic, the likes of Rangers, Aberdeen, Hibernian, Dundee, Hearts, St Johnstone, St Mirren, Falkirk, Dundee United. There are some big clubs here. And little old Fort William from Claggin Park are going to be in the top flight. Now, as mentioned, we were going to have to absolutely send it last season, and that is what we've done. Financially, we are back in the red, but that is all going to change very quickly, because the money in the Scottish top tier, well, it's not great across Europe. when it comes down to the fact that we've been going on £300 a week for some of this rebuild. It is absolutely incredible. So we've got a wage budget of 16,000 with 5,000 left over, which is going to be difficult still, but we're going to keep a very similar way of signing players. This is how we've done everything up to this point. But this is what we are doing from now on. We are now allowed to sign players from the UK. They have to be either partially Scottish, English, Welsh, or Northern Irish. If we keep this as just Scottish, I don't actually think it will be possible. Opening up our player pool to go to England and hopefully get some players released from Premier League teams is going to help massively. It doesn't mean it's going to be an easy task. As we've seen financially, Celtic are paying around £60 million per annum. We are paying around £500,000 per annum. So it's going to be an absolute task, but it's one that we are ready for. So season 15, we are in the Scottish Premiership. I think this is a great time to mention the fact that you are able to get this save file in the Patreon, which is linked down below if you want to play with Fort William. I'll do the season 1 so you can start the task and see if you can beat my record of 20 seasons, or if you want to pick it up, as they are European champions and champions of Scotland at whatever season that is. I won't spoil it just yet. The link is down below. A massive thank you to anyone that supports at Patreon, especially at this time when the game has been delayed 5 months and things are getting a little bit more difficult financially. A lot of money is made on YouTube when it is November and December due to ad rates. So anyone that supports on Patreon is massively helping go a little way to sorting out what could be an absolute mess financially. So if you can help support, that is the best way to do it. Of course, also liking the video, subscribing, and sending this to anyone who likes FM rebuilds, because it has been an absolute task and an absolute journey. But we now sit here in the Scottish Premiership. We still have a completely Scottish-only side. That is because the player pool wasn't exactly tickling my fancy, and I'll try and keep it Scottish for now. When I need to go outside, I will go outside. The actual team is very decent. We've actually got some loanees now as well. James Ingram and Richie Warwick are into the team, but there is a player in this team that is going to stay with us until we complete this rebuild, and that man is Rory Hanlon. He is 24 years of age. He has been released from Hibernian after his contract ran out, and he is fantastic. He loves big matches. He isn't that consistent, but he has got great physical stats, 17 determination, good finishing, and good composure. Is 5'10" and is a fantastic striker. For this level, apparently currently he's only a good Cinch Championship striker. You are going to see over the next however long how good this man is and how good he can actually become, because Rory Hanlon is going to be a Fort William legend. There is also another pretty cool player in this team, and that is Bailey Rice, the player released from Rangers. I mean, well, he came up from the Rangers Academy. He's been all over the place since then. He's landed his way back in Scotland and at the mighty Four. I mean, unbelievable. Bailey Rice is tipped to be a very good player in real life. It's not quite worked out for him as he's worked his way through teams in Scotland, going over to Wellington Phoenix in Australia as well, which is pretty cool. But now he's here and he's starting in very nicely into this 4-2-4 system. He's playing as a deep line playmaker. We've still got wingers, but they're now in support. Just this sit a little bit deeper, but still spread the field a lot. Hopefully this is going to be okay, and hopefully Big Rory can save the Four. And survival was all we were looking for season 15, and that is what we done. We were 2 points clear of going into the playoff matches, 5 points clear of Dundee, who were automatically relegated, but we were safe, and that is all that mattered, because financially that's big things. We have now got £2.5 million in the bank. We have actually got a little bit of transfer budget, 500k to be example, and some wage budget, which is great. So we can actually now spend a bit of money. 10k on wage budget is fantastic, and we are now going to go and look at players from all over the world, not all over the world, all over the UK, not just Scotland. Rory Hanlon this season was great, 16 goals and 6 assists, but it was still that man Paul Morrison, who has been with us now for 3 or 4, 5, 6 seasons with 109 goals and 176 games, that scored 24 goals and got 7 assists this season, and to be fair, could also be classed as a come on the fort legend. So Big Paul, thank you very much. We are now going to go on to season 16 and hopefully improve this team with a bit more UK flair, bring in some English, some Welsh, and some Northern Irish players. Well, that's not exactly what happened, as we just about survived in season 16. And for season 17, it was even worse. And if it wasn't for Rory Hanlon's goals as he becomes the top goal scorer, we would almost certainly be down. Rory at this point has played 146 games, he's got 64 goals, and is an absolute hero for us. And now at this point as well, we have got a very different team. We've got English, we've got even an Irish player in here in Chris Fitzgerald. He must be Northern Irish and converted. Welsh, English. It's a whole now plethora of UK players, and things have certainly changed over the last few years. Now we have got Donato and Bailey Rice in DM, Lewis and Spence on the wings. I mean, the quality of player now is just so much better. Robert Lewis has got some decent speed, great agility and good crossing, while Regan Spence is more sort of a leader but also got good speed. Hanlon and Pritchard up front are both fantastic together. Donato is a fantastic young English midfielder. He has been really, really good for us. And Bailey Rice next to him now is sort of at the end of his career, but still been pretty good. At the back, we've got Fitzgerald, Blakey, Brown, Munro, and in goal is Alex Millis. But this season, things are going to change because financially, things have been going up and down, but we now have players, ladies and gentlemen, with actual value. This is the first time I'm seeing someone not worth 500,000. Rory Hanlon is worth 10 million pounds. Donato is worth 6 million pounds. We've got a bunch of players now over $1 million, and just getting £1 million would be massive for this wage budget. I mean, even moving 100k takes us from, I mean, not a lot. It adds an extra 2k, but you add that times 10, and $1 million gets us 20k in wage budget, which is mental. So we need to now be clever, lose one of our best players, but gain a lot of wage budget to improve the whole team overall. So thank you very much for your 12 months of service, Francesco Donato, because you have just raised us £2.6 million, and we're here for one season as a free agent. And he's not the only one as well, because Robert Pritchard, old Rory's partnership up top, has also left for £1.2 million, which means we've actually got some money. And we've actually finally signed someone for actual money ourselves, 13,000, so not a lot. But Barry Burton comes into the team. I like him a lot. He's got great finishing and composure. He's not the quickest, but he is extremely consistent and loves big matches. He's Northern Irish. He has played one cap for him and got a goal. He came through the Ipswich Academy, went to Glentoran in Northern Ireland, and now is here at Fort William. And I think he's actually a very good signing for just 13,000. He's not the only player we've brought in. We've brought in a bunch of free agents. The team has improved tenfold to this point. Rory was a 4.5 star player, now a 3.5. Next to Barry Burton up front, Spencer Lee Prince on the wings of Willsmere and Dale in DM. Monroe, Tansman, Thompson, Liam Rogers, and Chidi Eze in goal. I mean, this guy was released from Arsenal. Rogers is a fantastic right back. Thompson's a great, very quick centre back next to Tansman as well, who was also very good. You can see the level we have gone up in literally just 1 year. Now having an extra sort of 50 to 60,000 pounds a week to spend on players has helped massively. Ryan Munro at left back, Dale in DM is fantastic, with Willsmere, who is so well rounded, and training from a central midfielder to a DM will just get better and better. Prince on the right is brilliant, Spence on the left is brilliant, of course Rory up front is an absolute legend, and Barry Burton as well comes into the side. We've actually got a full backup team now of semi-decent players. It's not, amazing, but they're actually here. And we have now finally got our reserves and under 18s. I think this actually happened at the start of going up into the Cinch Premiership. Because of how bad our wages have been, we haven't really kept anyone on. In fact, we've kept no one on at all. But they are there, and players that are injured or need to gain fitness can go and play with fake players, I suppose, in games that they play. But I think we've actually done a very clever thing there. We sold 2 of our best players, but brought in 15 players which are of similar quality on free agent contracts and have massively improved. And you can see that in just the schedule alone. As we were finishing off the season, we were actually in the Cinch Premiership Championship group. Ladies and gentlemen, the Commander 14 Fort William from Clagham Park all the way from tier 6 is now in the top tier and is now in Europe. We have finished in 5th place on 60 points, just 3 points away from 3rd place Dundee, 19 points away from Rangers. But since we sold a couple of our best players and brought in all them very good free agents, we have massively improved. And that's a massive tip for you guys if you're doing a save similar to this, like I've done with Bishop Stortford. You get to a certain point, you have to sell one of your best players so you can massively improve your finances, put it into the squad, make a very good overall team, And I mean, you can see we're spending loads more money in terms of wages. We were on 3.5 mil. We're now on 700k, now on 2.8 million. But we're now going to Europe. Next season, regardless of what happens, we're going to have so much more money to actually spend. I mean, we're going to have like 25 million pounds in the bank pretty quickly because, I mean, we're in Europe. As long as we get into the group stage alone, it's like £6 million, which is unheard of for the squad, which means we are going to try and improve the training facilities and new facilities. We have got them up to 1-star and 1-star and 1-star on youth recruitment. They were all half-star before, so that's good to see. We've actually improved them a little bit. Reputation-wise, now a 2.5-star team as well, which is absolutely fantastic. And a key player, Rory Hanlon, is worth 13 million, and he's just an absolute legend. Another 18 goals in 44 games, playing as that pressing forward. He has done a super job. Burton up front next to him was nearly the top goal scorer in the league. He grabbed 18 goals. Prince and Spence, fantastic. Our DMs were great as well. And overall, we've built an absolute force. But now it's time for Europe. So it was time to go big. And the reason we could go big is because we sold another star player. I haven't really mentioned him, but he was, again, only here for one season. Dante Thompson, coming on a free contract from Newcastle. He's left us for £8 million to Fulham, which is absolutely fantastic. And to be honest, he wasn't even that good last season. His stats and average rate and sort of ability shows he's a fantastic player. He was pretty average, to be fair, of the league, a 6.65, but he comes in and he leaves us after just one season. And again, it means we can massively improve the team. And when I say team, I mean squad, because our actual first 11 is good enough to get into Europe, which is great, but it's the rest that needed massive improvements. And we actually now have some good rotational players. Midfield-wise, there's some good players. Up front, James Nweke is absolutely fantastic. 16 acceleration, great dribbling, and good aggression. So a great pressing forward. Kelvin Jeffrey, released from Manchester United, has come in on a free contract. That was a difficult one to go over the line, but he's in. Robert Lewis, Ainsley Cusack, Alex Mawson as a backup DM is fantastic. We could have only dreamed of having players like this just literally 24 months ago, 2 years ago. We'd have prayed for players like this. Now they're actually here. We are in the Premiership, the Conference League, the Scottish Cup, and the Viva Play Cup. Now, I don't want to just win the Conference League and finish this off here. I will take that as a European competition, but I want to win the Premiership, Scottish Cup, and Via Play all in one season. So we actually have to do a treble rather than just sort of winning the league and winning the Conference League. We're going to make it so we have to do a domestic treble and win. I mean, it's going to be the Conference League, isn't it? We can't win the Champions League. And well, the first order of business was to actually qualify for the Conference League phase, and we done that quite simply. We beat Milsami Orhei from Moldova in the second round. In the third round, we dispatched of Dunstrada, who were actually a pretty big club. We beat them 4-1. And in the final qualifying round, we battered Neftchi 6-2 on aggregate, which means we're going straight to the league phase. We ended up coming inside the top 8, which is fantastic because it means we actually end up skipping the knockout playoff round and go straight to the round of 16. There is some big teams in this competition. Well, mainly one that I really want to avoid for as long as possible. And that is Chelsea, who are here, and obviously a very, very good side managed by Xabi Alonso at this point, and some of their values in their team is absolutely ridiculous. So we need to avoid them until, at least the semi-finals. We can't be playing them early on because that'll be very, very difficult. But we are going to have a game in the round of 16 up first. But we played AJF from Denmark, and of course, Rory Hanlon got us off to a fantastic start. Well, actually, I say that we lost the first leg 4-3. So we had to win this game by a couple of goals, and Rory did get us off to that start. And Nweke made us one goal ahead in the 92nd minute when AJF sent everyone forward. We ended up winning the game after a defensive mistake. Rory Hanlon poached in and scored to make it 3-0 on the night. 6-4 in aggregate, and we were going into the quarterfinals. Where we then played up against Adana Demirspor, and in the first leg away from home, we drew 2-2. So we just had to come back to Klagen Park, and the Turkish team at Adana Demirspor didn't really enjoy the cold, mountainous weather too much. We went 1-0 up before an own goal made the game 1-1, but we got back on top thanks to a penalty from Dale, and we scored again to make it 3-1 and 5-3 on aggregate in this game as Spence ran through past the defence and battered it into the top corner. And the semi-finals, well, I thought they were going to be much harder. They were up against Augsburg, and in the first leg we won 5-3, and in the second leg won 3-0. So we won 8-3 on aggregate, which sees us go into the final, where of course we faced up against Chelsea. And we upset all odds. In the 85th minutes, Ricky McHarry drove through the defence and scored the one and only goal in a game to make Fort William European Conference League champions, and we have ticked off the list, winning a European competition in this rebuild. That is an absolute whirlwind of a story, and I am absolutely buzzing at the fact we have ticked this off straight away in the Conference League, which I say in every rebuild is probably the easiest competition to win. It is so easy. I don't know why it's so easy, but it seems like it's coded. The games are like friendly games and you just batter any team that stands in your way. But I'll certainly take it for this rebuild because we've come from tier 6. I'm 100% going to take a Conference League trophy. But we have now got the task of winning the Cinch Premiership, the Scottish Cup and the Viva Play Trophy, because you can see we got quarter-finaled in the Via Play Trophy, we got 5th rounded by Hibernian in the Scottish Cup, and in the Scottish Premiership we come in 5th place again for the back-to-back seasons. We are in the Europa League next season, so there will be a chance that we get to win that, but our main focus is on winning the Premiership. And well, yeah, we've got money in the bank to do that as well. £15 million transfer overall balance and an £8.8 million transfer budget, so we can go spending. And well, that's exactly what we've done, as we spent 2.6 million on Lee Wee Chen, 1.7 million on Scottish central defensive midfielder Alan Connolly, who in some way worked us over to Italy, and spent 1.2 million on Lewis Mills as well. We also brought in the actual Scotland number 9 Donald Hay on a loan deal from Chelsea. I've got no idea how we've achieved this, but we have. He did play hardly at all last season for Hearts, which is a bit weird because he is fantastic. He has got great physical stats, 13 finishing, 14 composure, great off the ball work, so potentially as our pressing forward next to Rory Hanlon, he is going to be an absolute game changer. There was some more free agent signings like Carr on the right wing, who is outrageously good. Some great agility. Physical stats are also very good. And Willsmere and Connolly still in DN. Spence on the left. Rick Harry on the left back. Tansman at centre back next to Fidel Henry has been outrageously good. They are both so quick and so good. And Rogers at right back as well, with, of course, Chidieze in goal, who, as I mentioned, I think when he come in, was released from Arsenal. He has been so good for us, and he is just unbelievable. He is very determined. He's not got like the meta stats of FM with the area reach, the jumping reach, but overall as a keeper at this level, he is pretty darn good. In terms of the Cinch Premiership, in terms of the preview, we are the 6th best team, but I think now we have got a squad that can finally compete with Rangers, Celtic, Hibernian, Hearts. I mean, we've been overachieving before. We're about to overachieve like never before. The first thing to tick off our list was the Via Play Cup, a bit like the Carabao Cup in England. And for the first time, we'd made it to the final. We went 1-0 up and we went 2-0 up as well, thanks to a backstick header from Mawson. Very easy, that one. We beat Dundee. I mean, at this point, our team is just miles better than everyone other than Celtic and Rangers. So this really wasn't a competition. What was a competition, though, was winning the Cinch Premiership, because even though we had fantastic runs of form just like this, there was one team that were going to take us to the very last day of the season. That team was, of course, Rangers, managed by Lautaro Martinez. All we had to do here against Dundee United was secure the 3 points. And of course, Rory Hannon's got us off to a great start to make it 1-0 before Spence scores to make it 2-0 in the 17th minute, and it took all the way to the 90th minute. But we grabbed a third and final goal as Hanlon found Tansman to find Nweke to make it 3-0. And the mighty Fort William were champions of Scotland. It has been an absolute rise from tier 6 to the top tier to overtake Celtic, Rangers, to win a Euro competition. It has taken 20 seasons, but Fort William are finally champions of Scotland. And to cap it all off is, of course, the Scottish Cup final, where we are playing up against Hibs. We scored from the spot to make it 1-0. Of course, it's Rory Hanlon before they actually peg us back to make it 1-1. We do score, though, in extra time in the 105th minute to win the game. I say that, actually, that's not what happens. Carl whips it in and Donald Hay scores, and they actually score in the 121st minute, which I think is a little bit of match fixing. They tried to mug us off. They tried to make us we had to do one more season. But something we have learned in this rebuild is Fort William are the masters of penalty taking, and we win that 5-4, which means the domestic treble has been completed. We couldn't quite lift the Europa League. We lost in the round of 16 to Roma. We had an unbelievable league phase, grabbed 21 points. I thought we were actually going to do 2 European competitions, but sadly Roma beat us 5-4 on aggregate. The final was Napoli versus Liverpool though, so it would have been very difficult either way. The team, I'm just absolutely in love with this rebuild. I'm in love with Fort William. I went and watched Shinty. I tried to watch the team, but sadly they were obviously on this weird away/home day in the middle of nowhere playing in the school, which was odd. Donald Hay was unbelievable this season. Rory Hanlon, though, is a legend. And I hope, as I check this, that Fort William, we are listed in the Legends category. There we are. A legend of Fort William, along with Andrew Kyle, who, if you remember, was an absolute legend. And hopefully he replaces me as manager, because he is him, with Rory Hanlon, an icon, but of course one day set to become a legend. Build him a statue. Build Andrew Kyle, Rory Hanlon, and me in the middle, a statue outside the Fort William Clagan Park. If you have enjoyed this 20-season long-term rebuild, make sure you like the video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. If you want to try and take Fort William to Champions League glory, there's a Patreon file just down below.